I do engage a little bit in incrementalism, and the only reason why is because, like, I would agree with you that these don't go far enough. We need to go farther with it. Yeah, I mean, we need to abolish the state, in my opinion. But most people don't understand like the language of that. So we need to start with questioning the system first, which I
Well,
think
yeah,
these things will
well,
do.
I'm tired of that. Like, if you don't question the system by now, what the, like, where did you grow up?
Hmm.
Like, because like and that's the other thing for me, Volchi. Like, I'm successful, right? Like, America doesn't hurt me at all, right? I'm a cishet white man who gets paid, $1 a minute when I work, right? I don't need America for this, right? But that's why I know it's not good, right? If I can benefit in this way and so many people cannot, right? Um, like this was not enough.
But
We
what
are
do you
gonna
mean?
burn out. We are gonna um, lose our ability to be a modern species.
Oh,
But like, why
what do
don't
you think we should do? You think we should go like just straight communism? Yeah.
No, I think we need to prioritize the needs of the ecosystem. Do you know what the green belt of Africa is right now? That's my favorite real life solution.
Okay.
You know what that is?
I heard of it, but I don't know much of the
So
details. Go
they're
ahead and let us
digging
know.
ditches to push back the Sahara.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That
Um,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
and so, like, I think we need that in all our communities. I think we need people growing food, whether they have permission or not. I think we have to have people protecting other citizens from cops right fucking now. Like, and I don't think it's even beyond incrementalism. It's just a matter of recognizing what we're up against, right? Our
Hmm.
current system, right, doesn't do the job,
Okay.
right? It doesn't provide for people.
Okay, gotcha. No, I think I could agree with that. Give me 1 second. Hey, evolving seas, how's it going, bro? I know you're another friendly. I usually bring friendlies up at the end. I'm just go ahead and talk to you guys right now before I talk to Saved by Grace. How's it going, evolving? What did you need to say?
are you talking ever?
Who you
Ever.
talking
There you
to?
go. I was talking to Ever. Give me a second. Hey, that one, I appreciate you. I'm gonna bring you back up at the end. All right, appreciate you. All right, Ever, how's it going? Are
I
you over?
What's up? I was just gonna talk about like some of the topics up there. I
Sure.
mean,
Hold on,
I,
hold on. Give me a second. Are you over 18 and do you
yes,
disagree with anything on the board?
I am over 18. Um, I do agree. I do disagree with a couple things on there.
Okay.
Um, but I've talked about a lot of some of these topics on TikTok, but not number four
Hmm.
before. So I wanted to talk about that. Like, I guess looking at it face value, I don't think we should abolish uh, prisons. Um, so I guess what do you mean by so I guess what do you mean by abolishing prisons does anything helpful for us?
Why shouldn't we abolish slavery?
Why shouldn't we? Well, I mean, like the second, what is it, the 13th Amendment? You know, if you
So we
commit a
should
crime,
enslave people who do crimes.
you lose your rights as a citizen.
So we should enslave people who do crimes.
I mean, I don't have an issue with it
Why
because
not?
if let's say you commit murder, right? That's uh, like to me, with my personal morals, that is indicative of the person to like be unalive themselves with me, like on my personal moral standpoint. Like if you commit, if you cut somebody's hand off, you should have your hand cut off. That's kind of where my moral.
Yeah,
So
we've already tried to live in that type of system and we found out that it was horrid. So I would
right,
do that.
but I'm just giving you my moral backup for it. I don't think it's so crazy that a person loses all their rights because they commit a heinous crime like that. I don't see what the issue with that.
The laws doesn't say that. It says that you commit any crime, you go to jail and you become a slave. Did you know that back in the like after slavery, after 1865, after slavery was abolished, not having a job was considered a crime. But
Yeah.
guess what? It was after hold on, but hold on. But guess what? It was after slavery, and no one wanted to hire black people, especially black men. So black men who didn't have jobs, they were technically committing a crime. And guess what they did to them?
Yeah, they put him in jail.
They put them in
But
jail, and that was a system of re-enslaving them. So why
right.
shouldn't? So exactly. So when you say that you have no issue with someone committing a crime and going to jail and becoming a slave, you have to realize that some laws are targeted to a certain group in order to put them in jail. Do you
Right.
not think see the problem with
No,
that?
I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I'm saying is, a what you're talking about is reform because we don't have those laws currently, right?
Yeah,
we
we do.
don't have we don't have laws that put people in jail if you don't have a job.
Yeah, we don't have laws that put people that doesn't put you in jail if you don't have a job. Technically, because there are people who are there are cities out there that are making homelessness illegal. So technically, you can
But
go
that
to
was
jail. And hold on,
slavery.
wait. Technically, you can go to jail in some places if you don't have a job, especially if you're homeless. But the second thing I would say is that we do still have laws that target certain groups for jail.
So homelessness and not having a job is two different things because a lot of homeless people have jobs. That's number one. But what I'm saying to you is that I'm not disagreeing with some laws being immoral. What I'm saying is abolishing the prison system is not helpful. You should
I want you to
reform it.
read that again, where because I didn't say abolish the prison system.
Prison industry abolition. Okay, so I guess can you help me understand what you actually mean by that? When you say
You
prison industry abolition.
you ought to agree that some laws need to be reformed and that some laws need to be abolished because they actually target certain groups of people, right? And do you agree that the prison
I
system,
can say that. I don't
Right.
know any specific ones right now, but I
the
can
war
say
on
that.
drugs, the war on drugs. Now, do you agree that there are do you agree that the prison system, like when it targets poor people and minorities for prison, and that private companies profit off of that? Do you think that that should be abolished? That we shouldn't do that?
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to digest it. You're saying that prisons target poor and disenfranchised communities, or is it the system outside of prison that targets them?
It's both.
I would
The
I would say
entire
the
like
latter.
what
I
I'm
would
saying
say
is
the latter more.
right. So what I'm saying is when it comes to the prison industry, that's what it is. It's laws and it's both laws and like private actors, private companies, like Whole Foods and Publix and companies like that that actually lobby for harsher like municipal and state laws in order to put people in jail and then use that labor in order to make profit. Because like a lot of like this T-shirt might have been made by a prisoner. A lot of cotton and crops are picked by prisoners. And if you call like for any customer service line, the person you're talking to might be a prisoner. You know what I'm saying? They profit.
Oh
off
yeah,
of all of it.
I understand that they work
Exactly.
for pennies on the dollar.
So what I'm saying is that that's the industry. Hold on. That's the industry that I'm talking about. All of that needs to be abolished because that's literally just incentivizing putting people in jail for money. That entire thing needs to be abolished. And not only that, we see that it doesn't work because of our recidivism rate.
Yeah, you're breaking up. You're in the matrix. You're breaking up.
You're in the matrix, bro. Yeah, you're breaking up. You're in the matrix. You're in the matrix. You're breaking up.
That's a solid argument.
Everybody else, everybody hold on to me because I'm still talking.
Yeah, Ever, you have red bars.
At least 10 minutes each.
Everybody else, everybody hold on for me because I'm still talking to one person. I give everybody at least 10 minutes each. All right, y'all, go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing it. I'm still here. We got 3 more guests up. Oh, he dropped out. I guess he had problems with his thing. All right, Saved by Grace, how's it going?
Disagreed with something I have on the board.
Going good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. All right, are you? I know that you're 18 and you disagreed with something I have on the board. What did you disagree with?
Well, with just flat out listing them as flat out statements, I would disagree with portions of all of them. Just mainly because, let's start with the first one. I worked in healthcare, and I know the problems with universal healthcare as far as having a government-run healthcare system. Usually, what the main problem is with government-run healthcare systems is there's always ends up being a shortage of, which we already have issues in this area, but it's going to get worse with the shortage of doctors, physicians, nurses, and all that. Also, the other issue too is usually there's a backlog of needed life-saving surgeries that need to occur. A great example is up in Canada. Canada has one of the worst backlogs for surgeries. There have been people that die on a waiting list waiting for their turn to have surgery because the way they prioritize people's surgeries is basically causing people to let their problems get worse and worse and worse, and by the time they get in to get their care, things have gotten significantly worse from where they were. So either the surgery requires more invasive procedures, or they end up actually suffering detrimentally with increased morbidity and mortality. There are balances that need to be met, both with providing a form of universal health care within a free market system. We've made steps in that direction, especially under Obama. However, the problem still is that we are a free market system. And through that free market system, we have free market healthcare as well. By the other issue, which is a main complaint by proponents that are against a universal type healthcare system, is that it usually increases general taxes overall for the entire population. People that are more sick versus people that are less often sick, they're paying the same fees for less coverage for the person that is healthier and takes care of themselves versus the people who don't take care of themselves. They end up with more severe medical issues and more complications, and more frequently need to see the doctor or other higher levels of care. So how is that justified on a closed system such as a government provided healthcare system? Other than I understand the human rights part of it, being from a healthcare working situation, I believe everybody deserves healthcare. It's just we need to make sure that it's as fair as possibly dealt with, so that there isn't these other ramifications that we've seen other countries have when they have this universal healthcare system.
Let me ask you a question. How come all the best healthcare systems in the world are universal systems?
That's a lie. That is flat out false.
What's the best healthcare system in the world?
It's probably pretty close between Europe, Canada, and the United States are all kind of within the same area.
It's Taiwan, and Taiwan has a universal system.
Oh, Taiwan's currently? They have a significantly smaller population as well, too, though.
So?
That's a big issue. Smaller populations usually tend to fare better with universal systems, and that's a known statistic. The issue is when you start getting larger populations, larger land mass where that system has to be spread out, those tend to not have as good of outcomes, which is the issue with Canada, and their extremely high tax rates. And then also too with Europe, it also has similar issues as Canada does, with the backlog of healthcare, backlog of surgery, shortage of staff, shortage of equipment.
Taiwan doesn't have that. South Korea doesn't have that. Neither does
But
Germany.
then again, that just shows my example that smaller countries usually tend to do better with those systems.
South Korea
I
has
agree with you to an extent that smaller countries do have a little better time with it. But you can even look at Cuba. Cuba does not have a very good healthcare system.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
They're a poor country because they've been blockaded, but their healthcare system is fine. They have some of the best doctors in the world.
No, they do not. They do not.
Yeah,
Again, I
they
come
do.
from the healthcare system. I'm Hispanic. I know for a fact they do not have one of the best healthcares systems out there.
They have better.
They do.
They have better
They like to
outcomes.
say they do, and
They have better.
usually
They have better outcomes than the United States does.
I disagree with that.
I know you disagree, but that's what the statistics say. They have better outcomes than we do, and they're a
I've
third
looked
world
at the
country.
statistics too, and I disagree. I think you're wrong.
Okay,
As
fine.
far as
But what I'm saying
guaranteed
is that when it comes to universal health care in this country, it doesn't have to be every doctor works for the government, because we know that doesn't work out very well. What I'm saying is that in this country, we already have a system for universal health care, and we are paying for it. We're just not receiving it. Why not just open Medicare to everybody?
I wouldn't actually have an issue with that as long as
That would be universal
this
healthcare.
This is what happened under Obama when that situation came up. He started opening up his program for having a reduced. If you had a lower income, they had a sliding scale program where you could even sign up if you made above the Medicare limit, to where you could go ahead and pay for that service. So, let's say insurance would normally have cost you $400 or $500 a month. They would put you on a sliding scale, drop you down to about 250 a month for the people that were just above the bump of Medicaid coverage. But also too, the option to keep your private insurance company, that was kind of a fuzzy water area as well. But it goes back mainly to that we are not, we are a free market society.
I don't see any
And so we have to have some kind of hybrid system to work with the society that we currently have.
I mean, like the thing is, I don't see any issue if we had complete single payer. Like, what will actually be the actual problem? Because like when studies are made on this, when if America were to go to either a single payer system or Medicare for all, we would actually save money, because there'll be more preventative care actions. So why not just do that?
The only problem with single payer is that unless there is reform with how the billing is done, there can be issues with corruption within the billing cycles.
Like what happens now?
When I was a medic, let's just say you go to the hospital, whether you're on Medicaid, Medicare, or whatever, the composition percentages that are calculated by Congress, those go based on insurance companies' recommendations for what their payout will be. So let's say you go to a hospital.
All right, hold on. Give me a second, because we're kind of going a mile a minute. Yeah, so sure, there are issues with the. You will have to make sure that there are no issues with the corrupt billing system. But there's issue with the billing system right now.
Yeah, I know there is. Like, I was going to give you an example. You go to the hospital, but this is because of
Right. We know all that. What the discussion is more of. Discussion is more of why would universal health care in America be a problem if we just open Medicare for all, which is one of the ways that we can do it. Like one of the issues with the ACA is that the public option was dropped. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we kept the public option, I don't think we would even be having this discussion, because like he just let the state decide if they would expand Medicaid or not. My state decided not to do it, which means that even if you are a homeless vet, you will not get Medicaid. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not disabled, you're not pregnant, or you're not a child, or you're not or anything, any of those other things. So even if you're a homeless person on the street who clearly is debilitated and needs Medicaid, you will not get it because my state didn't expand Medicaid. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the. That's one. Is there what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Is there per state? What I think is that it should be uniform over all state, where everybody is able to access health care. Because
But the
we have
other
one of
issue
the
you're
worst
going to run
accesses
into
in this
is the
country.
United States primarily operates with a big emphasis on state rights. And so
Yeah.
that's another hurdle that you would have to jump over to get that.
No, we don't. Just have a public option, like how the ACA was originally supposed to have. Just do that.
As long as they left the public option open, I probably would not be against it as a universal healthcare system where that's the only option.
What, like they'd be able to get private options? You can have universal health care and have private options, like Germany does that.
But see, you're not staying that when you stayed up here and you have your thing listed as universal health care. That provides the assumption that we're going to a single payer option and that's the only option. Because that's what people fear.
Yeah, I know that's what people fear, but that's just fear mongering. You know what I mean? And even if that was a thing, like what we know how crappy the healthcare industry is in this country. Like, someone literally got unalived because of how fucked up they are. So
That still doesn't mean our country's healthcare system is crappy. Like I said, I work
No,
in
it's
it.
pretty shitty. It's pretty
a
shitty.
very good healthcare system.
no, like the doctors and the nurses, the healthcare workers are good. The system sucks.
Let me ask you.
I disagree slightly just because I came from that background and I know
Let me ask you.
that it
someone
has
who-
problems, but I know that it also has a lot of good things for it too as well.
Let me ask you this question. Someone who looks like me, am I likely to get good care?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Not
Now, I
according
know
to.
there have
Not
been
according. Hold on. Wait.
statistics
Not
that-
according to research. According to research, someone who looks like me is going to be seen as more aggressive, as more drug seeking, and someone who looks like my wife is likely to die in childbirth because doctors don't care about black women's pain. This has been shown.
That wasn't a universal study. That was a study of individual hospitals within a specific regions of the country.
There's
And they
universal
noticed
studies,
that
bro.
it was only in those specific regions that they were having those issues. It wasn't general in all regions throughout the United States.
Yeah, and the regions that they studied were the Midwest, the Northeast, the South, and the West Coast.
The Midwest, the Northeast. Now, the ones that I saw were primarily the ones that were done in Texas, the one that were done in California, the ones that were done along the East Coast. But I wouldn't say it was throughout every single state that it was in.
Yeah, there was, and then there was a study done in the Midwest as well. It's been done in all the regions, and they found the same problem.
Okay. I'll have to look into that a little bit more to see. But I was going to say, I do know some of the studies that, people that people of color, and I'm one of them too, do have an issue where you have a white patient versus a black patient, and the black patient, both of them had cardiac arrest, and the black patient got 7 minutes of CPR, but the white patient got 34 minutes of CPR.
Yeah.
And that's a major problem. I mean, that kind of stuff where I worked, that wouldn't fly. I never saw that kind of stuff happening.
Right, I'm pretty sure individual it's people of color.
Yeah, and it should happen. I don't think it's systemic. I think it's individualistic. And I think those people should definitely be caught.
If it's individualistic and not systemic, how come all the studies find it to be endemic in all the systems, like systemically? Like, it keeps happening over and over and over. Like, if it wasn't systemic, it wouldn't be a statistical like significance, but it is.
Well, I qualify as systemic, meaning that the corporate policy is to do this.
That's not what systemic means.
I agree that there's a lot of racism out there.
It's not, bro.
But I agree that it's usually person by person decision making that
It's
we're
not,
doing,
bro.
and it's causing it.
It really isn't. It really isn't. I don't know if it's a lived experience for you, but it is a lived experience for me. It really isn't. It's not just individuals. Like, the whole system goes against you. Like, if we do out there, go out there and do research, and we see that statistically this keeps happening to a certain group of people, we just can't say it's individual at that point.
But the fix is more oversight, because one of the issues with oversight within the medical industry, I even caused a patient review with one of the hospitals here because I didn't like the way the doctor treated the patient, but this had nothing to do with race. When the hospital has an incident, a lot of times they'll do a medical panel to review the incident, and they'll basically give the doctors a lot of times a slap on the wrist. They don't pull their license. They don't get any kind of major punishment. They do it as only a teaching situation. There needs to be a little bit more accountability for malpractice that occurs, whether it be due to negligence, due to racism, or what have you. I agree that needs to be put up front. But I don't know if I could be convinced that there's full-on systemic racism to the point that is just overall causing people to die.
Okay,
Other
so
than
I'll
there have been instances.
then if that's the case, if you don't think that's the case, then you have to deal with like research year after year showing that yes, black women are more likely to die in childbirth because doctors are ignoring their pain. Black men are seen as aggressive in drug seeking. Like, this happens every single study in every single region, every single time. If it's not systemic like how you're saying, why do these studies keep finding these things? We just can't say it's not systemic at this point. Nurse AJ brings up a good point, medical apartheid. That's why I brought her up here. I know she wants to say something about this. We do have about 5 minutes left, so Nurse AJ, I'm gonna let you go, and Marana, you're gonna be next. Nurse, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I kind of jumped into the middle of it, and I heard it. Sir, I'm not sure. What's your credentials, sir? The one down here at the bottom.
Oh, I was a paramedic and a CCT medic.
Okay. So you're a paramedic, so you are largely outside of the facility. I am a registered nurse. I am certified in multiple specialties and hold a couple of different degrees. I have spent my career in a safety net hospital here in a large area. And I also serve the underserved population. Sir, I am here to tell you that the practice of medicine embedded in it is systemic racism. Up until recently, and I'm talking about pre the year 2000, it was still being taught that Black patients don't feel as much pain as white patients. It was being taught that our skin is thicker than a Caucasian patient. There's implicit biases in the training, okay? And again, because I work at a safety net hospital, it's mostly filled with people of color. And one of those disease states that over and over and over again gets mistreated is sickle cell. The sickle cell patients are largely African American or Black. Okay? These patients over and over and over again get labeled as drug seeking. It's a very painful disease state. I have watched them time and time again not want to give proper pain medication, deny pain medication, put limits on pain medication for sickle cell patients. Just to let you know, my actual training, I am a surgical nurse, trauma nurse by trade. I spent most of my career in the PACU and most of my career in surgical specialties.
Yeah, PACU's Nurses Rock.
I've seen a lot of different surgeries and a lot of different procedures and a lot of the pain medications that they do not give certain patients. I've seen that with my own eyes on my own charts that I have worked. I have seen that. I have seen patients with amputations since I work in surgical specialties. So that means I support podiatry a lot. And I have seen them give both patients, no rug history, but one patient that happens to be of one skin color and nationality gets a certain amount of pain medication and the other does not. Now, this varies greatly from the safety net hospital that I primarily work at to the surgery center that I do some PRN work at, because those are all commercial paying patients, not Medicaid or other charity patients. So it varies on class. And we can't fool ourselves and act like this problem doesn't exist. Acting like it doesn't exist doesn't solve the problem, doesn't take it away. Heading it on, understanding what it is, dealing with it, and re-educating is how you start to solve the issue.
No,
not
I understand your
trying
point
to
of
talk
view.
it away. Doesn't happen.
All I was saying though is from my experience, and I understand that I don't have the experience within the hospital setting as much as you do. In my experience, I never was told in any of my medical classes that those stereotypes that you stated about Blacks having thicker skin or that they can deal with pain better or any of that stuff. That was never anything that was taught. So I don't think that is universally taught in medical school, but it is a problem within the hospital atmosphere that I don't know where it comes from, but that definitely wasn't anything that I personally experienced or was taught or trained on. You know, I've dealt with patients that have had sickle cell. My heart always goes out to them. I mean, that's got to be just one of the shittiest things to have to deal with, especially for the kids when they first start having those issues. And I understand how life-threatening it is. There are a lot of problems that are dynamic within the healthcare industry, and I agree that there needs to be a lot more focus on studying where these problems are occurring, which doctors, which staff members are causing this to perpetuate, and there needs to be accountability. But as in my experience, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is there is a lot of times the accountability strikes the lower level employees and not the higher level employees that are within the hospital settings. Usually the doctors are not the ones that are losing their jobs over mistakes that they're making. It's usually lower level staffs, a lot of times the nurses and under.
All
I
right, we
mean,
have about 1 minute left, and I'm gonna have to move on to Marana. I do appreciate both Saved and Nurse AJ for being up here. You guys can stay if you like, and we'll continue the conversation in a little bit. All right, but I
I'll
appreciate
drop
you
out,
both.
but I'll listen.
All right.
Not a problem. I appreciate you.
Marana, you there?
All right, Nurse, I'm gonna drop you for 1 moment, Nurse, but I'll bring you back up at the end. All right, I
okay.
appreciate you so much.
I'm here, Jordan.
All right,
No
Marana.
problem.
I
Thank
have
you so much.
Lordy
All right,
here as well.
Marana,
I
you
have
there?
1Z up
Or
here
how
as
do I
well.
say your name?
All right, Maranta, how's it going?
Maranta,
Are you over
correct?
18?
Yeah,
Do you
that's
disagree
good.
with something I
All right,
have on
Maranta. I have Lordy up here as well, and I have 1Z up here as well. All right, Maranta, how's it going? Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes. And then I do disagree
With what?
with multiple things. I'm just trying to narrow it down here.
I think a woman should have a right to do what she likes with her body.
Okay, abortion rights. What is your take on the abortion rights?
Up until
I think a woman should have a right to do what she likes with her body. I think abortions up until, because an abortion is just really a termination of a pregnancy, so technically it could be on 9 months. That doesn't mean you have to eliminate the baby, but I think up until about 24 weeks or 22 to 23 weeks, that's when, you know, I would say probably 19 to 20 weeks actually. That's when the brain starts to form, and they actually start to have a unique conscious experience. So around that time, if a woman does choose to abort in that type of late term, it should be an abortion that keeps the fetus alive. But before that, it's whatever. I don't care. Did you hear me, Maranta?
Hear you. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that, because it seems like you care about your community, right? And you care about the fact that there is mistreatment.
Yep.
Because you value to some degree, you know, life, right? And the uniqueness, you know, aspect of life, right? And that should be protected and should be equal across the board, right?
Yep.
But like that you can't really sustain that or substantiate that if you say that it doesn't matter when you know, when life begins, and also how we treat that life from the moment of you know, conception onwards. Just doesn't align.
Yeah, it does. Because I value like the personhood, essentially. I value like the conscious sense experience, the personhood of the person. Now, I think that a fetus actually becomes a person once they have that conscious experience, which is around 20 to 23 weeks, around that time. Which is why I think if they do get an abortion, let's prioritize keeping the fetus alive. This is like a medical issue, like the fetus is outside the uterus or something like that. You can't keep it alive. I understand that. That's an unfortunate case. But if a woman does choose to have an abortion around that time, then prioritize the one that keep the fetus alive. You don't have to eliminate it. You see what I'm saying? Because that it has a conscious experience at that point. Before that, there's nothing there. There's no conscious experience.
Okay. I mean, I would say, you know, consciousness doesn't take away the fact that pre-consciousness, they were still alive, right?
Yeah, so?
So, I mean, but if we don't care about life, then you can't really, you know, ground all the other, you know, things you're against, which is like the mistreatment of, you know, life, and in particular, certain life, right?
Yeah, I can.
How? There's a disconnect there.
What's the disconnect?
That if we don't care about life, or when life begins, and how that life should be protected once it begins, then why should we care about anything else? Why do I have to care? It seems like it's just subjective at that point.
It is.
Well, if it's just subjective, then how do you justify your outrage over certain things, right?
Because
Especially as you were just discussing.
people are being harmed.
But if it's just subjective, it really doesn't matter, right?
It does matter.
If to you it has no bearing on someone else.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't have to care.
But we ought to care, right? Because
I think we do, because if we want to live in a happy, safe, productive society and environment, then we should care that people are happy, safe, and productive, and do things that foster that. But if you don't care to live in that, that's fine. But you're not gonna survive in this society long if you act that way.
Like the reason, like if you're an electrician,
Everybody in the society
you might
acts
your
towards the
job as an
benefits of someone
electrician,
else,
right?
like no matter
It's
what.
probably good for you because you make
Like the
$70,000
reason,
a
like
year
if you're an
in active
electrician
income, right?
and
But
you
your job as
might
an
be
electrician
your job as
provides power to
electrician,
everybody
right?
else. So you're
It's
still
probably
working
good
for
for you
business
because you
because
make $70,000 a year and that's a good income, right?
like
But
no
your
one
job as
works
an
for the
electrician
benefit
provides
of
power to
themselves
everybody
only
else.
to heck with
So you're
everybody
still
else.
working for the benefit
Every
of somebody
job
else.
in this
All of us do.
society, probably it's not probably except for
Like
CEOs,
no one works for the
is to the
benefit
benefit of
of
somebody else.
themselves only
Always.
to heck with everybody else.
Especially
Every
blue
job in this society,
So, like,
probably except,
when I
probably
say
except for
that you don't
CEOs,
have to,
is to the benefit of
care,
somebody
but we
else.
ought to
All
care
of them,
if you want to live
especially
in a
blue
type of
collar.
society
So
that I
like
want to live in,
when I say that you don't have to care, but we ought to care. If you want to live in a type of society that I want to live in, which I'm assuming most people do, you're gonna care.
Yeah, that's why we should care about
why,
the
why
life
shouldn't
in
we
the
care
womb.
about the woman's autonomy over
Because you have to
over
care.
what's
You can't just say like what you said. It's whatever. That's not a good
Why
position.
why shouldn't we care about the woman's autonomy over whatever's
no,
in
we all have
the womb first?
have a right to life. I just don't think that you have a right to
Are
life
you
until
saying like bodily autonomy versus the right to life?
No, we all have a right to life. I just don't think that you have a right to life until you have a conscious experience.
Okay, yeah. So
not
so
completely.
the right to life
Not
is
completely. I'm saying
conditional.
echo, by the way. It's not
Yeah.
completely
Okay.
conditional, but I think it does depend
so-
on your conscious
Okay,
experience.
so
Not completely.
Because
It's not complete. I'm getting an
person
echo, by the way.
who's
It's
in
not
a
completely
coma and
conditional, but I think it does
life
depend
support
on your
that's
conscious
being
experience.
alive by
That's
machines,
for everybody because
life,
a person
but we're still gonna
who's
unplug
in
the
a
machine
coma and
while we
completely
do that.
brain dead on life support, that's being alive, kept alive by machines. That's a life, but we're still gonna unplug the machine. And why do we do
Hold
that?
on, Lordy, that's not your turn yet. It's Maranta's turn. Be
Because
patient.
they're brain dead, right? There's nothing there.
Right, Maranta?
Because that's a life that's gonna go.
Hold on, Lordy. That's not your turn yet. It's Maranta's turn. Be patient. Right, Maranta?
yeah. So when it comes,
Maranta, you went on mute again.
Yeah. And then on an abortion, the woman's making the decision.
comes to life and
She
death
doesn't make it alone.
situations, I mean, the
There-
family
there's,
would be the
people
ones
have
making a
relationships.
decision.
Like,
Not necessarily
it's not like,
society.
a woman
And then on an abortion, the
gets
woman's making the
pregnant.
decision. And she doesn't even make it alone. Like there's people who have relationships. Like it's not like a woman gets pregnant
Most rational cases.
by her boyfriend and she just decides to go off on her own. Like I'm sure in some situations that happens. You know what I mean? But like in most cases, in most rational cases, they're talking about it and knowing what the best decision is for them. Like that's gonna happen, right? So it's not like people are just getting abortions willy nilly like this. Like this entire thought process of conservatives saying that there's huge abortion complexes with women just busting it wide open and getting abortions. That's not what's going on. That's what's happening. These are actually like prudent decisions that they make and think about. You know what I mean? They're just not just having it willy nilly, like going out there and just busting it wide open. You feel me? That's not what's going on. Like I think the reason why I bring that up, I know it's kind of silly for me to say that. The reason why I bring that up is because like whenever I speak to people about this subject, people tend to think that women are just out here just getting pregnant and then going to the abortion clinic, you know what I'm saying, 6 months in and getting chopped up. Like that's not what's going on.
Yeah, that would be like very ill-minded people, I would say. But like I would say like most people that are pro-life kind of see the inequality of it because it forces especially mothers and fathers, because sometimes they decide to do an abortion after the second or third kid. If it forces mothers and fathers, if they're in a low income setting or a position, it forces them to tragically decide not to move forward with bringing another child into the world. So that's like coercion. And then you also have that from from men too, because one of the ministries that my church works for is for the mental effect that abortion has on women after the abortion. And what we hear over and over again is like the boyfriend kind of pushed them into having the abortion, and they didn't even want to really. So
If someone is like pro-choice, people will tell you right now, if someone is being pushed to have an abortion, we are against
No
that.
one is, no one is for
No
that.
one should be pushed to have that. Like, we're against that because that's what choice is about. The woman's choice. She shouldn't be forced to have one. No one is
Be
for
a fair
that.
situation.
Yeah, but you're setting up you're setting up culturally. You're setting up an unfair situation where
What's
you're
the unfair situation?
that we're saying that that
Yeah.
when a woman
That's always
finds
gonna
out that
happen.
she's a that she's a
You don't
mother,
want that.
she
The
has
thing
to
is, you don't
evaluate
want
how
that
much
to
of a
happen
burden
always
that's
in
going to be on her and on the culture that she lives in, or the
Yeah.
community that she lives in.
That's
That
always going to happen. Like,
and
if you don't want that, the thing is, if you don't want that to happen, how come we just
No,
don't set
we're
up a
not.
society
We
where having children is easier?
we don't have
well,
maternal health care.
we were on the way to doing that. I mean, I would say we're in a pretty good position now, right? This is
No,
like,
we're not.
even though we
We
still have a lot of problems, this is like
we don't have maternal health care. We don't have guaranteed housing. We don't have immunization. We don't have free college.
say that as someone
We
who's
have
black.
nothing that makes it attractive to have a baby right now.
I mean, we can
And
we
I
can-
say that as someone who's gonna have a baby.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that and we can fight to change that, but regardless, society should never dictate, or apply pressure on the family as to like whether the new child they have is going to be a burden on someone else or on myself or on my future self.
You're
should
right.
be
So
able
that's
to
why
do-
abortion should be available. You just made the pro-choice argument.
I mean, I guess we will agree to disagree, but like one other thing here, like what is your take on how Planned Parenthood kind of got started and Margaret Sanger and specifically knowing that she was a great believer in eugenics?
Yeah, almost every institution or like almost every institution and discipline we have in America was started by racist people. That's not surprising.
And can you give me another institution that was started by someone that was open about believing in eugenics, especially during the time that she lived in?
Gynecology.
Who learned about women's vaginas.
Gynecology was started by someone who believed in eugenics.
Gynecology was started by an Advent racist who learned about women's vaginas by testing his slaves. Harvard, I think, was started by a racist too.
You went on mute. I'm not sure what's going on with your.
Okay, well, then you would have to kind of make.
You went on mute. I'm not sure what's going on with your phone, bro.
You would have to. So how do you reconcile that with the fact that it seems like Planned Parenthood sets up shop mostly in minority areas and in areas that have low income?
They don't.
Well, the numbers don't lie. Planned Parenthood opens more.
They already
facilities in
researched this.
those
Planned
areas.
Parenthood is mostly near white neighborhoods, not black neighborhoods.
That doesn't. I'm pretty sure that's vice versa, but I guess I would have
It's
to.
not
go.
vice versa. This has already been researched. That claim has been debunked for like almost 10 years now. Planned Parenthood is mostly by white neighborhoods. 60% of Planned Parenthoods are near white neighborhoods. 60%.
Can I research that real quick?
Can I jump
Go
in
ahead.
real quick, host? Can I
It's
jump
not
in?
your turn yet. He still has about 3 more minutes. Marantha, let me know when you come back. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live and keep sharing it. Appreciate you, Ding Dong. I see that you were over on my YouTube. You said I was echoing a bit. Let me know if that's better. I just turned off one of the tracks on the mic. Let me know if that's better, if I'm not echoing anymore. All right, y'all. Keep liking the live and keep sharing it. We're at 6,000 likes, 64 people in here. I appreciate everybody who's here. Johnny, I'm gonna bring you up next. Kay, I'm gonna bring you up. I know you're there, and we're gonna bring you up once we're at the end of the live. Everybody's gonna come up at the last 30 minutes. Marantha, I'm gonna give you about 1 more minute, and I'm gonna have to move on to Lordy. All right, actually, I can go ahead and do that now. Hey, Burger Style, that 1350 thing is BS because black people do not commit 50% of the crime. Majority of the crime in this country is committed by white people. You're not reading the FBI statistics correctly. The 50 thing that you're talking about is talking about homicide arrests. Yes, 50% of black people, 50% of the homicide arrests are black men. However, it's also shown that over 50% of the exonerations of those same arrests are also black men. When it comes to arson, when it comes to assault, when it comes to robbery, when it comes to child P, when it comes to child assault, all those majority are white men. So black men are not committing 50% of the crime. And if you keep up with the racism, I'm just going to block you. All right, Lord, I'm going to go ahead and move on to you. How's it going?
Hey, Sakafe, yo, what's up, man?
What's
Yo,
good with you?
You one character, yo. You's a one character.
How am I a
Yo, you know,
character? Please tell me,
look.
are you over 18? And what
I'm
do you disagree
42,
with on the
sir.
board?
I'm 42, sir.
Gotcha.
lot
All
of
right.
it I
What do
do-
you disagree with on the board?
A lot of this stuff is just disagreeable.
Okay, cool. Start with one of them and let's talk about it. We got 15
No,
minutes. Go
because
ahead.
the last thing you don't want to look. Life starts at the conception, man.
So,
It doesn't matter, yo. Keep life going. Why do y'all want to delete life?
We
That
don't have to
doesn't make any sense.
we don't have to delete life. If we had a system where education was better and it was easier to have children, then abortions would go down. You agree?
It is easy to have children. You could
It's
give
not.
it to a person that's willing to adopt a child.
We have millions of people. We have millions of children in the adoption system, and none of them are being adopted. You're also less likely to be adopted if you're a black child. The adoption system sucks.
Who says that?
Lordy, hold on, Lordy, stop. Lordy, hold on, stop. Just tell me yes or no. Have you actually looked this up, the statistics that's where it's shown? Hold on, wait, listen to my question. Have you looked this up to and seen what happens in the adoption system, that black children are less likely to get adopted even when they're babies? Have you looked that up?
It's not.
It's
not
a yes or a
I'm
no,
not-
my
I'm
friend. It's
not-
a yes
I'm
or
not
a no.
adopted
It's a
person,
yes
but
or a
I've been
no.
around
It's
people.
a yes or a
Come
no.
on, we having a conversation, though.
Right, hold on. I know we're hold on, Lord, chill. I know we're having a conversation and I'm directing it. I ask you a yes or no question.
Come on, it's yo. Some
Bro, hold on, bro,
some
hold on.
questions are not yes or no.
Yeah, yes,
It's
hold on.
thought.
Hold
It's
on.
thought-driven.
Lordy, listen. I know some questions are not yes or no. I got you. This question is a yes or no. I'm just asking
I
you.
don't have to.
Okay, I'm just asking you, have you actually looked that up? That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, I'm not. No, I haven't.
Okay,
would
cool.
why would I search
Okay,
something
cool.
like
Okay,
that?
cool. Okay, cool. So, well, now we can continue the conversation. So, when we're talking about the adoption system, our adoption system is terrible, which is why people usually don't either use it or think about that as an option because it sucks. Why don't we fix the adoption system?
Who says it sucks?
You're less likely to get
you
adopted
just
if you're
said
black. You
numbers.
don't
You
think that's not a
just
problem?
talking-
Wait, hold on.
Anybody-
Hold on,
look,
Lordy.
look,
Lordy, hold on.
look.
Wait, stop.
Anybody could
Stop,
create
Lordy,
numbers.
stop. I'm not creating numbers. This is research. You are
No,
less
that's-
likely. This is
anybody can
research.
make
Hold
that
on.
up.
Okay, Lordy, I'm
Anybody can make that up.
gonna mute you real quick because you can't seem to control yourself. Listen to what I'm saying to you, okay? A system in
It
which
seem like y'all thought
a system in which certain children of a certain skin color are less likely to get adopted is a problematic system. Do you or do you not agree with that? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay, why not?
Because look, man, it's not about skin. Nothing. Why y'all make everything about skin? It's
I
not
just-
about skin.
Okay, hold on, Lordy. I just explained to you that in the adoption system, there's racism, and you don't think that's a problem?
No, it's not.
So explain why black children are less likely to get adopted.
Who says black kids are not being adopted?
I didn't say they're not being adopted. I said they're less likely. That's why I said you're not
Less
listening, bro.
likely. That's your opinion, sir.
It's not my opinion. It's research.
No, anybody could create numbers.
No, we're not. No
Anybody.
one's making this up, bro. No one's making this up.
That's a made up. You didn't make it up.
You just said that you never looked this up. So how do you know it's made
Well,
up?
okay, but understand.
No.
you didn't
Stop.
make it up either.
Stop. You just said you never researched this. How do you know
Okay,
it's made
but
up?
Understand. You didn't create
No.
it either.
You're being dishonest.
How
How
I'm
do you
being
know?
dishonest?
I'll
So
tell you how being.
just
I will
gonna
tell you how you're
accept
being.
it.
I will tell you how
Wait,
you're being
wait, let me
dishonest.
just-
I
let me-
will tell you how you're
just
being
listen.
dishonest if you be quiet for a second. You just said you never looked this up. You just admitted that you never looked this up. So if you never looked this up, how do you know it's made
I
up?
didn't look it up. But
You-
how you
you-
just gonna take it?
So then, how
you
do
gonna
you
take
know
that
it's made up?
and
How do you
just-
stop, Lordy? Stop, Lordy. If you never actually looked into this research, how do you know it's made up? That's what that's what I'm asking you.
How
Don't say
do
no.
you
Wait,
know
stop.
that is
Don't
true?
say
How do
nothing
you know
else.
that? You
No.
just
You
gonna
can't.
read
No. Don't
something
question me
and
now. Don't question me
accept
now.
it?
Don't question me now. I'm questioning you.
That's what you're
No.
doing.
Stop.
That's what you're
Stop,
doing.
Lordy. Stop, Lordy.
That's proper.
This is the problem with the conversation. This is how we're going to conversation. We're supposed to have a back and forth. And please answer the question. If you never looked this up, if you never looked into this research, how can you say that it's fake? This is the first time you're actually hearing this. So how do you automatically know that's fake? How do you know it's fake if this is the first time you're even hearing of this? How can you make a decision?
Because he doesn't understand it.
Accept that that is true.
The reason why I think that is true is because I know how psychological and social research works.
No,
You know
that's
why?
crap.
Because I
That's
work.
crap.
No, stop saying no, bro. I'm answering your question. You're not even listening. It's the problem. You're gonna listen now. The reason why I know that is true is because I actually worked in the field. I worked in social services. I'm studying to become a therapist. I've done psychological research myself, and I know the methodology. I've seen how they do the methodology and how they ran the numbers, and it was correct. That's how I know
Nah,
that it
I
was
don't think-
true.
I don't-
You don't
I don't
believe me?
think that is
You think I'm
true. I
lying?
don't believe
You think I'm
it. I
lying?
don't believe it. I
Do you
don't
think I'm
believe it.
lying?
Yes, I think you are lying.
Okay, so there's no point of us talking then, bro. Appreciate you being up here. All right. Is their name Onesie?
No, it's just call me RT.
RT, how's it going? How
Shit,
can I
you
help?
can call me Rod, man. That's my name.
Rod, how's it going? Are you over 18 and do you disagree with anything I have on the board?
I'm 46, and it's I agree heavily with you on prison industry abolition. I agree 100% on that. I agree that there's a conversation to be had for reparations. I agree in a way with free college. I think that college should be free for everybody with an over 3.5 GPA. College should be free. I don't think if you have an under 3.5, I don't think you should be able to get a loan that you can't pay back, and I don't think you should even be allowed to go to a fucking trade school. Yeah, I don't think that we should let slackers who don't pay attention in high school and get bad grades go to college for free. That's fucking ridiculous. But 3.5 and up, man, and you're a real student, I think you should be free. Yeah.
Give me a quick minute, RT. Hey, Twister, I'm tired of you like crashing out on my comments. Either request to come up, or I'm just gonna mute you. All right, because I'm tired of you crashing out on my comments. All right, Rob, go ahead. All right, so when it comes to free college, like I understand the sentiment of people who get like 2.0s or whatever. You probably don't want to give them free college and want to
man,
go to trade school. What
right?
I would suggest, which I think everyone should do, is I think all high schools. There's a school in the city that I grew up in where it's exactly like that, where every single student graduates as either an architectural drafter, a CNA, some sort of laboratory technician, something like that, right? They all graduate with some sort of trade in their hands. So college is now an option. And if they want to become a doctor or an RN or a psychologist, etc., then they go to college. I think that should be for every single high school, but especially for high school in poor black areas. I think that's what should be the case. So your idea kind of matches up with mine, because even if they get a 2.0, at least they're still an electrician or something, and they don't necessarily have to go to college. I think
I don't know if I want a D student. It's almost an F student to be my electrician, but yeah, I get you.
Right, but I think where we slightly disagree is that I think those 2.5 students should still be able to go to college if they want to, but they probably wouldn't because they have a trade in their hands already. Make sense?
Now, but there's a conversation we had. I think that letting bad students that don't give a shit or don't pay attention, party too much, to go and just waste another 4 years, take out a loan so they can waste another 4 years before they join real life. I think that's a bad idea. I think it's bad for everybody. But let's move on. Let's go to. I'm going to stay away from abortion rights because I am a pro-choice. So we're not even going to bother with that. And I'm a different kind of conservative. When it guaranteed housing, I don't know about that, because how do you that gets us into subprime mortgage loans and all the shit that happened in 2008, and it gets into some nasty territory. But universal health care is the one I really want to talk about. Because
Yeah, sure. What you got?
the way I look at universal health care is if we have universal health care at that point, in my opinion, fuck freedom. I don't want you on a motorcycle. I want to tell you what you can and can't eat. I don't want high fructose corn syrup. Out. Twinkies, fuck out of there. No, you don't get to eat like shit and have reckless parachuting for fun. No. Rubbers, I want that shit mandatory. You know what I mean? If I'm footing the bill for your health care, I'm in your house.
No, I don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, when it comes to universal health care, it's essentially that everyone, like private insurance, then it'll be covered like either through the Medicare system, just open up Medicare for all, or through a public option that anyone can sign up for. I don't think we need to. Now, I do agree that we need to encourage healthier eating habits, and we need to get sugar out of everything, because what's causing the problems in obesity is actually not trans fat. It's sugar. Sugar is in everything.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, exactly. It's in everything. So we need to get rid of that, right? So I agree in a certain way that encouraging healthier eating habits. I agree with that. But universal health care would just be like you go to the hospital and you need some help. They treat you, and the bill gets sent to a government agency, and it gets covered. I think that's it. That doesn't mean that I actually disagree that people are just going to start making horrible decisions with it, because that doesn't happen anywhere else. So why would it happen here? I don't think Americans are just like, exceptionally worse at making decisions than anywhere else.
No, but that's why I don't. That's the thing. That's the thing. Like if my, and I understand Medicare, Medicaid, and those are programs that we've all always paid into. And if things fall on a hard time, you got no health insurance, you can go rely on that. And I think those are all good things. I've always thought that that's a fine thing to have. Social safety nets are good, but a universal. I mean, what's the difference between a universal health care and Medicaid?
The difference is that right now with Medicaid, there are certain criteria that you have to meet, and not only that, is state by state. Like in my state, even if you're like a poor homeless person, you won't get Medicaid if you're not disabled. You see what I'm saying? So like that's the difference. Where in Georgia, everyone gets Medicaid. In New York City, everyone gets Medicaid. In Texas, they have different little. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. Each state has their own standards. Right. Every state has their own standard. But what I would go for is like Medicare for all, like the Medicare system that we all pay into, that we only get when we're 65. I think that should just go for everyone. Just open up to everyone. The moment you start working, if you're an 18-year-old working in a surf shop, if you're paying taxes towards Medicare, you should be able to access your Medicare. That's my belief.
I agree. I don't see why. I think even if I have insurance, I should be able to back up my private insurance, which I do have. I should be able to back it up with Medicare because I fucking pay into it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to
amount of money, a ridiculous amount of money I pay into Medicare.
Exactly. That's what I think. I think that would be the best way to go about universal health care, because I know in America we have a very capitalistic mindset, and I get it, but I don't think that having a system of universal care will necessarily go against like free market. You see what I'm saying?
As long as it doesn't, right? And I'm not, like I said, I'm all for social security nets and safety nets for people, especially like considering how much money we send overseas. Like, dude, fuck that, man. Flip that shit around. Put it into our country, man. Put it into to my neighbors. Put it into to my neighborhoods, man. I grew up in West Side Las Vegas, man. Fucking right on the edge of Northtown, dude. I went to an inner city public school, a highly Latino, a large black population. I went to a very mixed West Side Las Vegas public school, and I understand that we should put our efforts into our own country.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to like something like guaranteed housing, like I don't know who did the report. I think it was Bureau of Labor Statistics. I gotta search it up again, but it showed that in order to solve homelessness, it will take $20 billion. Right now, it would be $20 billion per year, of course, over the next 10 years. However, we're giving Boeing and Raytheon and Lockheed Martin we give them more than that each year in order to build jets and missiles. Why don't we just turn it around and help our vets out?
I like knowing that we could probably 1v almost the whole world. I don't mind that. That makes me feel comfortable. But there's a lot of crap that we spend money to that we don't need to. Look, look, I mean, we have multi-million-dollar government contracts through the Pentagon for every single media agency in America. Like how about make that illegal? Why does all the news agencies have Pentagon budgets? Like make that illegal, flip that money around and put it into the motherfucking schools, man. Put it into the neighborhoods, put it into medical care, put it into college. You know, yeah, there's so much that we could put without hamstringing our military. There's a lot of ways that we could make America better on the inside without doing that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Now I do think that if we I think that we can like cut like about a quarter of the military budget and still be able to kick everyone's ass. You know what I mean? And a quarter of the military budget is like I think that's about $300 billion. So we can do that and still kick everyone's ass. You know what I'm saying? So like I do understand the sentiment of being protected, right? I get that sentiment, right? I'm not I'm a person. I was I was in. You know what I mean? Here's my cack. See, so I was in. So I get it. You feel me? With me, I don't think America. We need to kind of roll back a lot of our military involvement everywhere. You see what I'm saying? So
agree
like
completely.
but I do understand that we are a nation. We need to protect the nation. You see what I'm saying? Until we get to a point where the world doesn't need a military anymore, then we're still gonna need a military. I'm a practical leftist. I do get that part, but I do think that we also need to roll back a lot of things and start investing more into the country, just like how you said. With that $300 billion, we could do the thing like fix the roads.
You're an actual leftist. Most of what people call leftists all the time are what I call isn't what you are at all. It's like they say, if you go far enough left, you get your pew-pews back. You're a real leftist. You know what I mean?
And I have no problem with pew-pews either. Frames, give me a second. Hey, Frames, you there, right? Yeah. Frames, did you want to come up because you disagree with something or you agree with something? Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
So, I just wanted to touch on, well, first of all, TikTok guidelines 24, he, him, state is Maryland, yada yada. So I actually agree with the vast majority of it. But there's one thing that you two did talk on that I did want to address. Well, two things. One being adoption and foster care system, because I have experience with that, and also free college. But I'll wait till you're done with this, gentleman.
Gotcha. Okay.
Man. Thank you for having me in.
All right, not a problem. Reason why.
You guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks.
You as well. No problem. All right, how's it going, True Progressive? I do see you there. Give me one moment, all right? Frames, you want to talk about the adoption system, and I think you said the education system, free college?
Foster, yeah, the foster care, adoptive, and then free college. So I guess I'll start on the college first, because this will lead into, like, I guess, adoption and foster care. I think college should be free.
I know. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I know how that go. I used to have pets.
My boyfriend came home just when we started dating. So, if he doesn't bark, we'll be fine. I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
I think college. I think college should be free no matter what. My issue with the GPA lock would be like abusive households, right? Because when you're growing up, you're going through a lot of abuse. I know I did when I was a kid. I was going through a lot of issues and trauma, and I'm not gonna go into all of that because obviously, and that really affects people's education on a fundamental level. Right. They can't focus in school. They're too worried about the trauma. They're too worried about the stress. They just can't deal with it, right? And so that happened to me when I was in high school. For 2 years, I was honor roll, but those 2 years was also the two worst years of my life. That's when the trauma went up. That's when the abuse went up. It was just really bad. It added extra and more stress without any benefit towards me whatsoever. It could have benefited me way later in life, but it wasn't. It was just causing more harm than was necessary.
Right.
And also, as somebody who was in foster care, I was in foster care for 4 years. But in those 4 years, I went to 8 different homes because of neglect, abuse, and other things. So yeah, I got moved around quite a bit. And that also can mess with the education as well. So that's
Yeah,
what.
and yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that's the exact issue with the whole 2.0 thing that I disagreed with. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to say that as well. Like, you know, there are people who live in homes where that education isn't fostered, not stressful and sometimes abusive environment. You may not get the entire time to actually make as much good grades. You know what I mean? So I don't want to lock college out for those people. And the same thing with the foster care system. Like, our foster care and our adoption system in this country is terrible. So of course they're not gonna. A lot of people do not want to put, you know, if they do have a baby, into those systems because they just suck. Can you give me 1 second, Frames? Progressive, you there, Trill?
Oh yeah, what's up, man? What's up, Bossy?
How's it going, sir? Yeah. I've been talking
Yeah,
to the
man.
ops today, man.
Been a while,
How's
man.
it
It's been a
going,
while.
man?
I know. I was wondering how TikTok finally let a brother get on the lives and stuff, man. So you the first person I got on live with, man. I want to say what's up with you, man.
I've been all right, been all right.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, most of the stuff I already agree with pretty much. You know, free call, all that stuff. You know, I'm already. You already know my views on that stuff, so we already on point as far as that. So, but yeah, man. Like, I guess I'll hop in if ever, you know, need some assist or something like that. But yeah, man, good catching up with you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Grand Peanut can't come up. Hey, sorry about that, Grand Peanut. I wanted you to go ahead and come up, but turns out that you can't. It's all good. But yeah, Frames, go ahead and continue what you were saying.
Yeah, but I'm just so when it comes to people who are pro-life and they immediately say, "Oh well, you know, adoption center is just a bad idea," for not only my anecdote, because that's what mine is, but there's hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of reports by people who has suffered and has been harmed by both the foster care system and the adoption system. So I 100% agree with everything now. I think we actually agree on the free college thing. I didn't know if you were agreeing with the previous guys, but there's a lot of things that can harm people early on in their life that would affect their schools.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, because I was saying that I get the sentiment, but I wouldn't lock them out because things are more complicated than that. Because I get the sentiment because people tend to like kind of assume that people who have like 2.1s like didn't try until they got to their senior year, which I get the sentiment because I saw it. You know what I mean? I saw people who the entire high school career, they'll tell them, hey, you got to have 2.0 to graduate. They didn't get that 2.1 until their senior year. You know what I mean? Because they just didn't really give a fuck all. You know what I mean? But like, that's not every situation. So there are people in situations like in yours, unfortunately. You know, really sorry to hear that you grew up in that type of environment. You know, there are people who like their environment, even if their environment is not abusive, they're just not living in a good community. And, you know, things happen and they can't always be at school. Either they need to take care of their younger siblings. Sometimes they have to work, you know what I mean, because they have to help their parents out. Stuff like that happens. You know what I mean? So it is one of those things that we have to think about. And that's why I want lockings are more complicated. So we shouldn't lock those people out of education.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get going. I do want to finish with two things, and that is be woke and down with the bourgeois.
Down with the bourgeois. I appreciate you, Frames. You have a good one. Issa, how's it going? Yeah, Issa, I'm not sure if it got pushed over because I have a guest up. But I think once another guest drops out, you'll see it push over again. I'm on my phone right now. The reason why I'm on my phone is because I've been having issues with issues with TikTok Live. It's been taking a lot of computer space. It's been slowing me down. So I'm using my phone for now. I'm gonna go ahead and get that right. I'm gonna get that right somehow, some way, somehow. Oh, Trill is gone. All right, y'all. Does Africa owe American black people reparations? That's actually a good question. Probably not, and there's reasons for that. Yeah, you see, it pushes over to the right every time someone comes up or comes down. So, all right, we got Roger Bullington coming up. All right, y'all. So appreciate Michelle for watching me over on YouTube. For Ding Dong watching me over on YouTube, you guys are amazing. I appreciate everyone that I do have on YouTube watching right now. We're at 10.4K likes, 48 people in here. I know you all don't agree with me. Just for a quick commercial break, I do have a subscription goal. I have 8 right now. I'm trying to reach to 10. 2 more subscribers, y'all. Go ahead and join the cult. Join the cult. You can see my handsome face every single week. I do these every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So if you like what I do and you like to support it and you like to give me some more fun so I appreciate everybody out there. Roger, how's it going?
Not too bad, sir, and yourself?
I'm all right. Now, you had a question about reparations, is that right?
I just asked if Africa would also owe American black people reparations.
You talking about for like for the kingdoms that sold them into slavery?
That would be correct, yes.
It's a good question that is being asked right now within the reparations movement. There are some that say yes, because they were complicit in it. The thing is why they were complicit in it, but the thing is those kingdoms that were complicit no longer exist. So there's no way to get reparations from them. But the societies, hold on, give me a second. But hold on. But the countries that those societies came from, some of those still exist, and maybe there can be like repatriation, what's that the other thing called, like citizenship rights or dual citizenship type of thing, or investment back and forth. Maybe that could happen. That's the side that says yes. The side that says no is because, number one, those societies that did do that no longer exist, and not only that, when it came to slavery, what the issue is that Africa is not a monolith, so there was no one Africa, right? Like, and we would the Romans had slavery too, right? We will never say white people enslaved white people or Europeans enslaved Europeans. It was just a system of slavery within the Roman Empire. Same thing with these African countries.
Pretty much every race has been enslaved at some point in our history, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. But now I do get what that question comes from. It is an interesting question that we talk about. But the main thing is, are reparations actually owed to African Americans? And my answer is yes.
I believe that if you could trace your ancestry directly back to a slave, that there should be some kind of something. But unless you can do that, I don't think you fall within the category of getting anything.
Yeah, sure. Like my parents came from Haiti to repair what they've done to my ancestors, right? But when it comes to United States, it was more than slavery. It was also Jim Crow, redlining, black codes, the war on drugs, things like that.
Oh, there's been a lot. I understand that. I'm not trying to say reparations is wrong or anything of that nature. I see these lies a lot, and people are talking about reparations. And when I ask the question about Africa, I either get ignored or blocked. And I'm just curious because there were people in Africa that were very much responsible for what was going on then.
Yeah, I do get the question because it is an interesting question. It's just that how exactly would it happen, because those societies don't exist anymore. So the only thing that we can do is that the descendants of those societies, because the moment that, not only that, a lot of those societies fought against slavery. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that the Dahomey Kingdom had slavery, and then like kings came in, tried to end slavery, and the other kings came in that tried to do slavery. It's very, very complicated. You know what I mean? So how exactly would that happen is the first question. And the second question is like, what happened to those kingdoms? Were they forced into doing it? Because some were. You know what I mean? So it's we have to ask all those questions and get all that right. And then once we do, then we can come up with a framework. But right now, I think what Ghana has done to address this or to try to repair the relationship is, you know, offer dual citizenship, offer investment opportunities. They have the castle in Ghana right now where they talk about, you know, never happening this again. And you know, people in Ghana, when African Americans go over there, they'd be like, welcome home, you see what I'm saying? Because and saying sorry and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So I think Ghana and Nigeria have apologized for their role in slavery. So the reparations when it comes to Africa, it's not as straightforward. You know what I mean? I know it's not a satisfying answer. It's just not as straightforward as it would be when it comes to the United States.
Oh no, no, I get that it's a very complicated question. I understood that when I asked it. Like I said, a lot of people that speak about reparations, though, they just ignore the question, like that it's not something that should be considered as well.
Right. I got you.
I understand it is much bigger and deeper than getting. It's just a question that I've had, and no one seemed to have a answer. And yours, I like that because it's acknowledging that yes, there probably is something that should be looked into there, but also the fact that doing so would be almost next to impossible, and I understand that.
Right. Progressive. I'm sorry. He had a Trill Progressive had a question. Go ahead, Trill.
No, I just want to answer the question of why they ignore it. Reason why they ignore it is because it's just another whataboutism rather than Americans holding themselves accountable for the history of American child slavery. Is that, oh, what about Africa? Like, what do you mean, what about Africa? First of all, a lot of those countries are broke. They ain't got no money. You know, like they ain't got no resources. They ain't got nothing.
Because
The
they don't have
Europeans
money
have
doesn't mean
complete
that
total
they're not still
control
responsible for
over
what
all
happened.
their. No, hold on, man. I ain't no.
Hold on.
Like,
Pause real quick. One at a time, guys. Trill, go
like,
ahead. Go ahead. Finish what
they
you're saying.
have complete and total control over their resources. So, like, if an African country, certain African countries, they want to dig like a pound of gold out of the ground, they got to ask a European first. Like, they can't do anything without the Europeans having to say so and what goes on, how it goes on, and why. Right? So like asking them for reparations is like asking, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like somebody's involved in a robbery, right? And like, yeah, both parties were involved in the robberies, but then the person who masterminded the robbery stole from the person who was helping, and now the person who masterminded the robbery is asking, well, why don't you get after the guy who also helped? Like, what? You stole his half. What are you talking about? You stole his half. He ain't got no money. You got all the money that came from that heist. So I'm asking you, and also number one, and also the another reason why, because we're in America. Why would we go to another continent, a whole other country, when we're in America? We got to get what we're owed here in America first before we even think about some other country that we have no relationship with. We have no relationship with Africa. We don't talk to nobody in Africa. We have no economy with Africa. We have nothing with Africa. We've been cut off from them for 500 years. We know nothing about them. Zero connection. So why would we go over them to even ask for anything or even speak to them for anything when everything we need is right here in America? Like it doesn't make any sense. It's just another whataboutism to avoid accountability. I'm gonna call you out on that.
No one's trying to avoid accountability for anything.
Yes, you are.
Can I add something? Hold on, pause real quick. Can I add something? Yeah, and what Joe pointed out is correct. Like that connection hasn't been there for 400 years, and that's actually one of the biggest tragedies of the Atlantic slave trade, because like a lot of us can't really trace back exactly where we can. We probably have like descendants and cousins over there that look exactly like us, and we don't know. You know what I mean? Like that connection is gone. That's one of the biggest tragedies, which is why I think that a way to actually kind of do reparations from their side, the only thing that they can do won't be anything monetarily, because as Trill pointed out, they actually don't own the resources, but the only thing that they can do is like reconnect the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like talk to us over on this, because I'm Haitian, right? I know over in like Benin and Togo and Ghana, there's a lot of the tribe that I came from is over there. So there's a lot of cultural similarities between us and people in Nigeria and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of us are Yoruba or Igbo. So like there's a lot of cultural connections there. We can probably do some of that, you know what I mean? Some cultural connections and things like that. But when it comes to like monetarily like compensating or repairing African Americans, it has to be the United States. You know what I'm saying? African societies can't do much about it because, like as he pointed out, they're gone, and the ones that are still around, they don't own the resource. All that makes sense, Roger?
Reparations doesn't have to be purely monetary. The fact that they, like you said, reaching out and trying to reconnect and bring you back to the culture, that alone could be reparations. And if that's all they can offer, that's all they can offer. I understand that. I'm not saying, but if you're talking, he said you got to get what you're owed. If you want to get what you're owed, then you need to talk to Africa too, because they had a hand in what happened.
Right, but like just like how you pointed out. My bad. Go ahead, Shrill. My bad.
We'll talk to them after we're done with America. After we get roll with America, then we'll talk to Africa about their part of it. Right now, we in America. And here's the thing. Hey, I remember, Volsy, we were having this conversation. You like America also owes Haiti because they stole y'all gold.
Yeah,
y'all got like billions of dollars of gold that we stole. For the benefit of France, from my understanding. So like, shoot, y'all hold that. You know what I mean? And also American interference in Haiti too, trying to maintain the dominance. It's like, hey, really, America owes a lot of people.
I would always say,
but yeah, America definitely owes.
Yeah, I would say. I'm sorry, Roger. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I would say that when it comes to like what America owes Haiti, that has to be like after African Americans gets what they do, and Haiti needs to go after France first, which is what a lot of young people have been doing. I'm sorry, Roger, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that every country owes someone, but America definitely has some deep wounds that need to be addressed in some manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and honestly, it's not only us; it's Native American. Like a lot of people think that Native Americans haven't made. They really don't. That land doesn't belong to them. It still belongs to the government and trust. You know what I mean? So Native Americans are also owed reparations. I just don't know how to do that one. You know what I mean? Like you have to talk to like a land back advocate and stuff like that. But yeah, I also believe that that's another society that's another group of people that needs to be prepared. But since I'm around African Americans and I know African American history a lot clearer and a lot better, that's why reparations for that community is what I'll talk about more and advocate more. But yeah, Native Americans are definitely owed. I'm not.
I'm just saying. He said I'm trying to deny responsibility, and I don't know if I have direct responsibility or not. But as an American, yes, there's some responsibility that falls on me.
I would say the responsibility, you're not responsible for what it was, how it got built, of course. Like no one's is gonna blame modern white people today for, Jim Crow happening. Like probably a lot of y'all wasn't even fucking born back then. You know what I mean? How can we blame you? I think the only thing that the responsibility would be to working on tearing it down. You know what I mean? And
right.
That's that becomes the conversation, if that makes sense.
Now,
responsibility is on the American government because the American government is the only entity that's been around since the whole thing started. Like from day one to today, the American government is the entity that's responsible. So to the degree that anybody that's who we go to. So when people are like, oh, I'm not responsible. Yeah, you're right. You're not. But the government is, and yes, we do pay taxes to this government, but that's a personal problem. I mean, like that.
Well, that's
like,
why I said,
like,
as
I don't
an
know what you want
American,
me to
some
do. I mean,
responsibility.
what? I'm supposed to like forgive and forget, and let the basically I get all the negatives, but you can deal with that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's not a deal. That's like what they did to the Native Americans or the indigenous people, however they wish to be referred. Now, I don't want to be rude, but they said we'll give you this, and then instead they gave them death and death.
Yeah,
sorry,
pretty
unalivement,
much.
unalivement.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unalignment,
I mean,
unalignment.
yeah, man. So, yeah, but I do understand your question and the sentiment, Roger, because it's like it seems that they had some hand in it. So I do get the sentiment. It's just that we would have to look at that probably after we handle America first, or like for myself, if I'm handling France, or for my wife is the UK. Yeah, I mean we have to handle all that first. Yeah, I'm
No,
saying,
no,
and
I,
then.
I understand. Like I said, it's just a question because
Mhm.
there is some culpability there, but it's never seems to be talked about at all.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like Trill said, like how would they do it? You know, what I mean, it's the same question I
Right.
got. I don't know how they would do it. So it's more of our.
It's not even so much how they do it. Just like it's like so far ahead in the future. It's like worrying about step 10 when you still have step 1. Like I ain't worried about step 10. I'm worried about
Yeah,
step
Oh,
1.
I
I'll
I
get
have
to
it all sometimes, like the big picture, and then I get questions that people are like, "Why are you asking that question now?"
Gotcha,
and not 3 months from now.
gotcha. I do understand that. All right, we are at 15 minutes, but I think Emily wanted to come up and say something. I said Emily. I do apologize, Emma. Hey, Emma, are you there?
No, I don't want to come up.
Oh, okay. You made a mistake. Not a problem.
Oh,
Appreciate you, Emma. All right,
Well,
y'all. So yeah, that's the 15 minutes. But I do appreciate you, Roger. Good conversation. Good question. But that's just
no,
in
thank
the
you. I
future.
appreciate you allowing me up and actually having the discussion. And Trill, I'm sorry if I came across as uncaring or something. I was not trying to be.
that. Is just like the concept of the question that people ask is just it's just another whataboutism. It's
Yeah,
a
I really wasn't asking it as like a deflection or anything. I was actually honestly curious.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. Appreciate you, Roger.
it up for you.
Appreciate you, Roger. You have a good one. All right.
You too.
Alrighty. How's it going, Mel? You there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Not sure if you on the board or you just wanted to come up and talk about something.
No, I didn't really disagree with. When I say anything,
Okay, gotcha.
I just really want to comment on what the previous guest was talking about. What about Africa? Um, my question was really just where, like, wouldn't the rest of the world pretty much owe us? Almost everybody benefited from the slave trade, so
Yeah.
they're like again, like you said, like it would be whataboutism because the finger could be pointed everywhere, and then it would be pointed nowhere at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like the entire world benefited from the slave trade, and not only that, after it, like like I pointed out, those societies collapsed. A lot of the societies tried to stop it, but then another king came in and he tried to start it again. It's very very complicated. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
yeah, we can look at Africa, but like how Trill pointed out, you know what I mean? Let's look at these things first, and then we could look at, okay, if Africa can do reparations, what it would even look like. And some of them have been starting to, just like how, like we pointed out, Ghana welcoming African Americans back home, apologizing for it. I think Nigeria apologized for it as well. I think a lot of West African states apologized for being part of slavery. I think Congo did as well. But what's going on in Congo right now, with the entire war and the slave trade going on there with children right now, it's just complicated. You know what I mean? Like how do we actually do it? Not to mention the fact, just like how you pointed out, everyone else benefited except for those societies. You know what I mean? So
Right, and as well, how what about when they need to get rid of Europe first? Like, how? Like, I feel like that would be the reparation right there. Is like you're connecting to what they're doing already, apologizing, trying to make the connection with American Black people, and just getting rid of Europe out of the continent. And I think that alone would help a lot.
yeah, I think because France still kind of has a hold on a lot of African states because of like they don't have financial sovereignty in those African states. Give me 1 second, Bill. I'm sorry. Connor, can you request up? We can go ahead and talk about that because I can't invite you up for some reason. So Connor, go ahead and request up, and we'll go ahead and talk. All right, but yeah, Mel. When it comes to like one of the countries in Europe, France, for example, has a huge hold on African states because they have financial sovereignty over them. They control their finances, and because they control their finances and a lot of their resources, they need to like European and American and Canadian companies. Like right now, I think I read that the Congo is making a deal for American companies to extract the resources, but for the American military to provide like protection in the Congo. They're not going to be provide protection for anybody. They're just going to be extracting the resources. You know what I'm saying? So until Africa actually controls its resources, then we can talk about things like that. You know what I mean? But until then, we really can't. What do you think, True?
About the sorry,
basically everything I said.
Taking a moment, yeah, but I for the most part I agree with you. And just to add on, just a thing about reparations before we move on. Well, if Connor gets back up, gets up. Thing about reparations, like people think it's a zero sum game, and I think that's the biggest misconception because us in the reparations space, I've always said listen, really in the
excuse me, I was in the Navy for 10 years. What the hell do you say to a goddamn Navy veteran?
Hold on.
Yeah, so Philly, you gotta wait for a second. Go ahead, True.
Yeah, it's like reparations is really an
Civil
investment
fucking war. What the hell do you say to a goddamn Navy veteran, son?
So reparations is really
Are you
an
a
investment
fucking
in
terrorist? You
America.
sound like a fucking
Investment in
terrorist.
Black
I
Americans.
fucking hate terrorists.
So really, it's a net positive for America in general, especially if you do it in the right way. Reparations does not have to be this colonialist project where we basically colonize America and extract it for resources. Like, no, that's how white supremacists think, right?
Yeah,
White supremacists think in terms of
Hey, what's going on?
extraction.
Hold on, Virgil.
When proper reparations, even for Africa, is really a working relationship where really both parties benefit, and it ultimately ends with Black Americans, basically coming up. We don't have to take from everyone and hurt other people just for us to benefit. No, we can all benefit, But the main focus of reparations is ensuring that we benefit and basically have it's basically a new deal for Black people. That's really what it is for Black Americans.
Yeah,
and the same thing for Haitians. Like Haitians, when y'all get child reparations, that's how it should be structured, like a new deal for Haiti and Haitian Americans and really all the Caribbean.
Agreed.
But type of new deal. But specifically for Black Americans, it's basically a new deal for us.
Definitely agree.
We'll drop down. I'm just gonna keep listening. Appreciate it.
Not a
Thank
problem,
you.
Mel. I appreciate you being up here, Mel. True. Give me a few moments with Virtual, then then we'll keep talking. All right. So Virtual, how's it going? Are you over 18, Virtual, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board? Hold on, Virtual. Let me mute. Okay, go ahead. Unmute, Virtual. Are you over 18, and do you Go ahead, Virtual.
Hey, yeah, I'm over 18. Way over 18.
Got you. You disagree with something I have on the board?
No, I was actually more interested in what he was saying about reparations and the ideas that he had. Can you continue more on that? Please elaborate more with that.
You talking about Trill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in hearing how you should see this work. How to big ideas start with small ones. So you have a small idea, maybe you can bring it to life and it be a big idea.
Reparations for Black Americans in America is basically a New Deal type project where because basically we spent most of America creating policies to exclude black people, black Americans specifically, and the I guess you can call like the Black New Deal, a Black American New Deal, will basically be an inclusionary policy to include Black Americans, and yes, provides with specific benefits and set asides. Because again, if you spent all this time trying to exclude me, you have to spend more resources trying to include me. You know, so some people may call it discrimination, but like, you know, like you kind of have to do it to get us like, you know, caught up to where we should be. Because they say it's like it take 250 years to catch up to where white people are now in terms of wealth. So like, yeah, like that's not a me problem. That's an institutional problem. You know, like it didn't have to be like that, but you spent 250 years making it like that. So you're gonna have to again spend however much time it takes, you know, to even that out.
Yeah,
You know,
I
and
could
again,
agree
that's not a
with
me
you
problem.
there.
That's an American problem.
So what would be your ideas on what kind of numbers are we working with? I'm really intrigued. I really am.
Well, I don't think the number really. So I think the number's kind of a distraction. I think it's more of a. You got first of all. I think one person I was speaking with had a good idea where basically you break it down in like 10-year intervals. So like you basically like this decade we're gonna work on getting meeting this goal to get Black Americans to meet certain metrics, be it economics or education, doesn't matter, right? It's like, okay, we want, I don't know, half of Black Americans to have a certain amount of educational um, output, and other, you know, goals as well, right? And then they calculate, because they calculate stuff all the time. They can calculate how much money it will take to reach that. You know, it may be okay for this 10-year interval. It may take, I don't know, out of like, I'm gonna just toss out maybe $1 trillion a year, right? So it's like $10 trillion provide Black Americans with the resources and all the other stuff, you know, to meet that goal, right? So like that's how, and then then the next 20 years, and then the next 10 years, like, okay, well, okay, we met this goal, we didn't meet this goal. So whatever else you got left, you know, it basically go like that. I think that's the best idea I've heard. The guy named like Sandy Darity has other ideas, but there's a kind of ideas out there. But I think the number value is really a distraction. It's not the number. It's the goals you have set, trying to what kind of goal. Yeah, it's the goals you have set for the project you're trying to do, and how you're trying to improve people's lives. And again, this also benefits because again, if Black Americans are able to, you know, form businesses and have people in America, but also across the world, that's still going to be a net positive for everybody. Because guess what? We're not going to exclude other people from working for us. If we have a business, we're going to hire everybody. Why? Because that's the law. The law is you can't discriminate, right? So if a Black American has a $1 billion business, white people are going to work for us, and they're going to benefit. They're going to be able to, you know, own homes and stuff like that. You know, just they're also going to pay a little bit higher tax, you know, to help fund initiatives, right? And not just white people, also other, you know, non-Black Americans going to have to pay a little bit of higher tax. Doesn't have to be insane amounts, whatever we need for that 10-year interval, you know, to pay for the infrastructure and stuff we need. Because again, we're basically rebuilding, not even rebuilding, actually building Black America for the first time ever. That's what I guess the Black New Deal, that's what the Reparation Project for Black Americans will be.
So let me ask you about some communities. And since I'm in construction and done this for a long time, and I know a lot about infrastructures, things that are needed for communities or wastewater treatment plants. Do you see any of those being built in your neck of the woods?
In North Carolina, well, it's a little complicated because our basically it'll come down to our state legislators, so that's a little more complicated. Like Charlotte area, but
Oh, you're
technically
in the
South
western
Carolina,
side
but
of the
I'm North
state,
Carolina,
Charlotte.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but
So some of these housing developments that are getting built in that neck of the woods, are you starting to see small wastewater treatment plants being put up in the general vicinities? Because
I don't know. I haven't really checked, but I'm pretty sure there is because it's a growing city, as you know. So
right.
I wouldn't be surprised there is that.
That's a good start for a community to have clean, usable drinking water.
Right, and from my understanding, our water is owned by the city. It's called Charlotte Water.
Well,
so it's actually.
How do you own water? But
the wastewater treatment and stuff like that.
Yeah, I understand. It's just one of those things that it really irks me. It's like air. How do you own air?
Right. I would say, yeah, but I mean, like the actual wastewater treatment stuff is facilitated by the state, of City Charlotte.
So positive notes on that. There are a few different types of grades that they get. A Class A would be, you could walk in, wastewater comes in, and you could walk at the end of the track and put your glass on there and pull the handle back and drink right out of it. That's grade A. Grade B, you might not necessarily want to stick your glass under there and pull the handle back, but it's probably in the safe levels. And there's different ways they clean the water. I've seen plants where they use the sun and they clean it out real well. I've seen plants where they use fish and they do extremely well. I don't know the major difference on the grade point average they get for that, but
they also got clams. Like they tie like some kind of device like clams, because they're filter animals. Like when it gets too dirty, I guess like the clams open up.
Right.
Or they close. I forgot which one, and they attach like these sensors.
Hey guys,
to it.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just gonna interrupt real quick. I guess I want to ask where we're kind of going with this. Did you have like something to point out virtual, or did you want to talk about something or?
Well, I really was interested what his plans were for reparation, and he's got a good idea on far as rebuilding communities, and as far as the construction side, I see these
rebuilding communities. That is a part of reparations. There are some people who say, monetary cash compensation as well. I don't know if Trill has any ideas on that one. I have heard that idea. I don't know how much it would be. If that's the case, I'm not against it at all. But yeah, there's rebuilding communities. There's reforming the education system. There's reforming the entire prison system or the entire criminal justice system, because it is a system that just seeks to enslave Black and poor people. You know what I mean? So if it's reformed, then everybody would benefit, including all poor people. So yeah.
We could talk about that for sure. I just run across the state of North Carolina signed a $100 million contract with Tyler Industrial something. It's a e-courts. They run our e-courts in North Carolina now. They had a lot of problems with it. People were getting arrested on the same charges that were already handled, and the very next day they'd get out on bond on. So
appreciate that, Galax.
I don't know how you would really reform the court system in prisons. I definitely agree that it's needed. What about your business plan? What about you were saying about business plans and stuff? Could you go into some more detail on that?
I did want to answer your previous question about some stuff that's going on in North Carolina that I know of. I think the coolest project that they have in terms of how all these is in housing. just like a nonprofit that's going to build some low income housing in Charlotte, in what's it called, Tuckasegee, in that general area.
Hey, what up,
And
agnostic?
look,
Hey,
it's going to be right across the street from Johnson C. Smith. And the cool
Right
thing about
on.
it is like all the
hey,
units
what's up,
are going to
Cricket?
be condos basically. So you're actually going to be able to own your unit. It's going to have a co-op, what's it called, a co-op grocery store at the bottom. It's also going to
That's
have
awesome.
it's a mixed-use development. You know, so it's not just like a bunch of like because if you go to uptown Charlotte, you know they got like some like old like projects and stuff like that, and there's a history behind this. You know, I ain't trying to bother you out with that. Basically, it's they're not good, you know, projects at all. Some are actually private projects, which have a whole other issue.
Let
But
me
this
ask
one
you
is actually going
this.
to be dope because you're actually going to be able to own your place, and you're not going to get a whole lot of money from it if you do sell it. But
Right.
it's going to be a co-op
All right, guys.
situation.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
that's
to
the dopest thing I've seen. Sorry.
hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt again. We're just a little bit off topic. I do appreciate you guys being up though. I'm gonna
Appreciate it.
end in about 10 to 15 minutes because I do these from 8 to 10. We are just a little bit off topic, and which is fine. We don't have any more opposition up here. Virtual, you seem like someone who's just interested in to see how exactly operations would work, and since you're receptive to it, then you know that's cool. Nothing for us to really debate about. I appreciate you being up here. Big Carl, are you there or are you still on a call?
I gotta go to the grocery store with the wife anyway, and it's hard to talk on this and grocery shop at the same time. So let me.
Not a problem. I appreciate you though.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Nice talking to
Not a
everybody.
problem. Nice talking to you too, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Big Carl, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
I'm all right, Carl. Have we ever spoken before?
I remember you. You were telling me the definition of woke, which I still remember.
Ah, okay, gotcha. All right. Did you want to talk about anything else today?
Well, yeah, so I've been looking up the overall concept of liberalism versus conservatism, and I'm learning a lot. I maintain the premise you don't know your own argument until you can convince somebody of the opposite that you believe. Okay, so, all right. So, I was holding my own self to that standard and talking with ChatGPT and was saying, okay, well, speak to me as the spirit of liberalism. And it did it quite well, and it didn't shame men. It didn't tell us that we need to pack the borders full of illegal immigrants. It didn't tell me any of the things that I have a problem with liberals, and it overall said that we're basically just trying to nurture everyone and make sure everybody is having a good day, which I agree with.
Yeah, that's literally the entire point of leftism. Like we're a social species, so we should make sure that everybody can live a proper life.
Yeah, so I'm deeply spiritual, and I agree with all of that. And my goal for my time on the planet is maximum joy, minimum suffering for all life, which could be said as very liberal. But I also hold the need that we need structure, we need boundaries, we need tradition, because it gives us a springboard from which to operate from. But that doesn't mean that we can't flourish and find wonderfulness in our progress.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't think
why aren't we
anyone-
using technology?
We need structure, right? Like that's just an obvious thing. Everyone's gonna need structure, and when it comes to traditions are going to start and then they're going to progress. Like if a tradition we see is holding ourselves back, then we should just let go of that tradition. But like if it's a tradition, like like for example, kids dressing up on Halloween and going out for candy, that's a tradition, but that doesn't harm anything. You know what I mean? But if you have a tradition of someone who isn't straight can't get married, then that's a tradition we can get rid of because it harms people who are not straight. You see what I'm saying? So I think those are when it comes to like traditionalism, that's when like conservatives and leftists and liberals disagree, because there are certain traditions I think that we should let go of, and they want to keep those traditions for the sake of it's tradition,
Right. And so when I was younger, I remember railing against a lot of traditional things and saying, well, we should figure it out for themselves and decide who they're going to be. Well, now at 44, I'm realizing letting people figure out who they are and what their purpose is until their mid-30s, maybe their 40s. And so families are getting started slower.
Hey, I appreciate that. My God, as a black woman, I appreciate the manifesting. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. My bad, Carl. Go ahead.
So it's overall we've crumbled so many pieces of what we stand for in the United States and probably other countries that we don't know there is no springboard from which to start for most people. And now we have no idea how to act in a relationship. We have no idea. None of us are trying to start a family or start owning property before 30, and it starts to weaken us as a culture.
I think the reason for those things are not because of we let go of a lot of tradition. The reason for those things is because we can't afford it. You know what I mean? Like people are not trying to have a lot of children because children are unaffordable, right? Because homes are unaffordable. It's not because we didn't keep tradition. It's because like the wages and the cost of everything haven't kept up with each other. And not only that, like I think that's actually the reason why that is because we're too rooted in tradition. Like we're rooted in a tradition of rugged individualism and hard work, and I get what I want and screw everybody else. We're not rooted in a tradition of we're all in this together. Let's make sure that everyone is taken care of. That tradition was let go of in the 80s when Reagan came along. You know what I'm saying? Because when he came along and he cut taxes and he cut out unions, the billionaires were making all this money, and then people started saying, oh, maybe I can make all this money. And now we're all stuck on rugged individualism, and I want to make what I want to make for myself and my family and screw everybody else. If we still had the tradition of we're all in this together, we're all Americans, we need to work hard to make sure that all of us can live a good life, then we would have that springboard conservative propaganda, essentially.
Right. So we can point to negatives on both sides quite easily. And as we fan the flame to make us hate each other, we tear each other down. So we got 4 years of liberal while the conservatives are tearing that down. And then we got 4 years of conservative while the liberals are tearing that down. We can't operate as a unit that way and move forward for progress because we're too polarized.
Yeah, we do have polarization, but I think from my view, a lot of the things that conservatives want to keep up with are just not needed anymore. You know what I mean? We don't need rugged individualism. We don't need patriarchy. We don't need these things anymore. We don't need like be deeply rooted into Christian ideology. We don't need those anymore. What we need is a society where everyone cares about each other.
We definitely need Christian ideology, but Christianity is the way. And I'm sorry, brother. Atheism is a terrible idea, and there's no way to unify a country over belief in nothing.
Atheism is not a belief in nothing. It's a lack of belief in gods. That's all it is.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
So, are you aware that you have a spirit?
I don't believe I have spirits.
Okay, well, that's a belief. That's a belief in nothing.
No, it's not.
then we just disagree. And
Why don't
that's
you?
fine.
Okay. How about we ask this question? Ask me this question. What do I believe in?
Yeah. What do you believe in?
When it comes to what?
When it comes to your most highest self.
That question doesn't make sense to me.
Your
You
most
see what I
loving
mean?
self.
My most loving self is me being a good father, and a good husband, and a good brother to my sisters, and a good son to my parents.
Okay. Overall, is your way of thinking, like, are you fine with tearing things down and not rebuilding them with something else? As we tear down the patriarchy and the negative traditions that we had in the past, are you rebuilding with something else that everyone can get behind?
We don't need that.
Well, we weaken our culture if we do. If we
No,
just
we
tear
don't.
down and don't rebuild, there needs to be something. There needs to be
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
we stand
Oh,
for.
okay.
as
No,
united as a country.
Yeah, I do get agree with that actually. Egalitarianism, equality.
Oh God.
If we tear
And
down
that's something
patriarchy,
people are gonna get behind?
if we tear down patriarchy, we can replace it with egalitarianism and equality. Why would we be against everyone being equal? Why would we be against that?
Humans haven't operated that way in a productive way where they were able to keep their nation.
Have an equitable society. If we don't have a society where everyone is considered equal, the nation will be destroyed. That makes sense.
I'm saying someone eventually would take us over that does have a patriarchy.
Not necessarily.
It weakens us.
Not necessarily.
Well, and that could be true. It's an experiment. We don't know what would happen. No developed nation has stood behind egalitarianism and stayed a nation very long.
Yeah, because America went in there and stopped it.
Yeah, so it's an experiment. We don't know. We don't definitely know that.
Yeah, actually, the thing is, the reason why we
So
definitely
it's
don't
risky.
The reason why we definitely don't know that is because America as a nation has always stopped that from happening. And you have to
But you're
wonder,
aware of
and you have to
history.
wonder, and you have to wonder, why do they stop that from happening?
Because overall, humans on planets
It's
want
not
to keep
about
their
humans.
country.
It's not about humans. The reason why it's not about humans, because if it was about humans, America will let the egalitarian countries do what they want. It's not about humans, because if America, if America let those countries,
The reason why it's not about humans because if it was about it over people, it's not necessarily a good system. That's why they stopped it. It's not because people don't want to
egalitarian society, it's not because of that. People would rather live in an egalitarian society than a patriarchal one every single time.
If that's something that we'll accept, then I'll concede and say, okay, great, let's go. Overall,
But you see,
I don't need
but you
to
see
dominate
how,
anyone.
but you see how you said what we need like a Christian ideology, but then we ended up at this point where we see that there's a toxic ideology that America goes around destroying nations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
This
that's
the Christian
terrible.
ideology that
I don't agree with that. So, if you were the ruler of the world, just as an example, would you be aware that if you didn't have your thumb on the people's neck at least slightly, you would quickly be taken over by someone else?
the only way I could be the ruler of the world is if I'm an oppressive leader, and I don't want to be that.
But humans overall right now, before we evolve to something greater, humans need something like that, or else we will rail against it and we will take you over. That's the nature of humanity at the moment.
Right.
We can't ignore that.
I think we can, because I think at a certain point of humanity, yeah, sure, some sort of authoritarian structure was needed, right? I think even today, even in Haiti today, there may need to be some sort of authoritarian structure in order to get things going and get things fixed. But I don't think that's needed forever, all the time, perpetually. We can let that go
You're
at
right.
a certain point. And I think we're
Humans
at
should
a
evolve.
right. And I think we're at a point in human evolution when authoritarianism everywhere is not needed anymore. We don't need that.
So currently, right now, we still are allowing global elites to run everything, and we just sort of take our paycheck and go home and shut up.
Exactly.
Right.
We don't need to be doing that. We need to.
But we're allowing it.
We're allowing it, and we need
until
to take out the global elites.
take more personal agency with our own lives and our own communities as a globe, as all people here on the earth, we will continuously forever have global elites telling us what to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So we should.
most people
My
aren't
brother, I just
ready
wanna
to be
protect you real quick.
responsible
You said
enough.
take out the global elites. You gotta change the wording up, play.
I'm sorry.
I know. No.
Replace them with something loving, which I support. I would love to see technology where we actually benefit the environment and, allow herds of animals to be able to run through countries that used to exist. We've broken our biome so that humans can be here, and that's also not okay. Like, there's a beautiful way we could live with the resources that we have that's magnificent, but we still need strong people. We need strong women, strong men that can stand in their strength and nurture their young. But when people tell them what to do, they say, screw that, we're not going to do it. End of story. And that takes a backbone. That takes knowing who you are and what you're here to do. And without that, then we're immature children getting told what to do as a nation.
Okay, see, the thing is, like, this is kind of getting into the weeds of things, right? We started the discussion on what how society can move forward and what do we actually need as a society, and I said that we don't need Christian ideology anymore. Everything that you're saying has nothing to do with Christian ideology. So clearly, you're admitting that we don't.
No reason to argue it. We disagree, and that's the end of it. So there's no reason to keep talking about it.
Well, can I come in
We
at
should
this
talk on
time?
the things that we agree and not that we disagree on.
All right. Give me a second, Jeju. Little B or Little Bear? Are you there?
Little bear.
How's it going? Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
I am 73 years old. I'm in Ohio right now. Let's see, what do you have on the board? It all looks pretty good to me. I guess I don't agree. I was going to take exception to the need for Christian ideology.
All right, based.
We're off of that now. I can take off.
Not a problem. Based. All right. Japir, are you there?
Jai Premier.
Not a problem. Japir. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
In the point of forming my own belief about it, I would like to talk about universal health care.
All right, sure. Give me a few moments.
Go ahead and come on up as well. All right, so whoops, sorry about that, guys. All right, so
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump off.
Not a problem, Big Carl. That's what I was gonna say.
Great
We only have
talking
a few
with you.
minutes.
Thanks for being so respectful and having this conversation.
Not a problem. I appreciate you being up. All right. Can you say that again? Was that Japrimu?
Jai Premu?
Jai. Okay. Jai, how's it going? You want to talk about universal health care? Sure. Let's talk about it. What you got?
Yes. First, I want to say that the fact that we're up here together, I'm going to respect the forming of beliefs and perceptions, which is probably the most basic thing in our lives as to our psychology or mind, that we're going to differ in opinion based on how we observe it and perform it. Now, what he was talking about, the simplest form to explain that to someone is use the term dispositionalism. And that's an attitude of how we're supposed to behave. All of us are not supposed to behave at the same way, same time, in a certain way without a controller. As individuals, we can agree or disagree. So healthcare, we need to make sure we characterize the 32, but in these United States, we do not have a comprehensive universal, we have a comprehensive healthcare, but we don't have a universal healthcare. And people keep construing it like we do in the United States. We don't. When Barack Obama opened up the marketplace, It was to give equitable access, and that is what a government of a republic democracy is supposed to do, give equitable access to all people. However, when they did that and they speak from it, we're not a socialist entity, so free enterprise went out. Who do you think have the greatest say in it? People that prepare themselves to go to school, doctor, to go into a profitable organization or a practice of science and medicine and gain the highest wealth, but yet they're screamed at to make cost efficiency. What business does not look for cost efficiency? Government ran healthcare in the United States cannot work because it denounces and deny what we say as free enterprise. It tells professionals what their term and regulation and restrictions to the United Kingdoms and the Canadas and the other, I think you mentioned Taiwan, as you're familiar with the universal health care and how it works. And the only reason that it's supposed to work, governments are supposed to be able to make it accessible and cost efficient. But it's really set up that they use their healthcare system for an economy. You were saying something to him where he was talking about ideology. I just don't believe I should pay someone's health care through me paying something they're trying to tell me cost efficient, and I'm not even using it. I have it available. I pay my premiums when I participate. My family pay their co-pays and premiums when they participate. But at the end of the year, we seek our credit. For those that get health care containment and they don't pay any premium, they just get a free, heavy subsidized medical. So there's no argument. We can just look at it that it creates economy in 32 nations.
Okay.
And those doctors that are elicited to be assigned to their government, they take esteem in it because I assure you, they practiced their medicine and got their education in another free country. They didn't do it in their home, and they come back and make it a part of their hierarchy. To be a doctor in Indonesia is more honorable.
Going like on. All right. None of what you say lets me know why it won't work in America. It won't work in America because people won't profit off of it. Yeah, that's a good thing. We shouldn't profit off of sick people. Like, well, I don't understand how that it would be a bad thing if people can't make money off of sick people. Let's just not do that. Like, what would be a? All right, I'm going to. You stay on mute, please. Stay on mute. If there's gonna be noise in your background, hydropower level. I don't understand why having a system where it's a universal system that anybody can access and everybody can access, and having private insurance do whatever they want to do for like luxury items like plastic surgeries or whatever, having that exist at the same time. What would be the problem with that? Because from what we've seen in every single industrialized nation, they realize that it's better to do this than to do it our way, because in our way we spend more on it per capita, and we don't get the benefit of everyone getting the access or an equitable system. So it seems to be a win-win across the board, and you're just saying, it seems that you're saying that the reason why we can't do it here is because people won't, because the insurance companies won't make money anymore.
No, I did not say that. I said in our republic democracy, it should not be the sole responsibility of the way our government is ran. The U.S. government is a democracy of the people. And so what happened, free enterprise cannot be compromised with government-ran healthcare, government-ran industries. They can go and make provision in subsidized industries like education. They can go subsidize medical facilitation. They can subsidize housing and any other part. But what I'm saying is giving equitable access. This is something Doctor, I want to be careful. I don't know your role into the universal health care. I'm a practitioner. When I went to school, I paid the fees. And I don't want to talk about my parents' heritage coming out of whatever the governance was, but I'm sure you're from Haiti. I see your flag. I want to be most respectful how you were acclimated. In states that do it or countries that do it, 32 countries do it. We would have to go way in the end. We're not even ready as the United States to compare and contrast because we don't operate in universal health care. What I'm saying is, as I look at my perception of governance, I would not want to be responsible to compete against healthcare containment, the state level of offer. Let me tell you why. You really are displaced vagrant.
Hold on, wait. I'm not understanding what you're talking about. How would this make any Why
In the
would a
United
universal
States,
system?
we do not
Hold
operate
on,
with a
wait,
universal
hold on.
health care,
Wait,
nor
hold
would I
on.
propose
I
that we
understand.
should.
I understand. You shouldn't.
Because we should not incur that it's the government's responsibility, the way that we govern, that healthcare should be provided under free enterprise, not government.
Why shouldn't it be provided to everybody as a right? Why shouldn't that
No,
be the case?
access to it, equitable access where you make the investment to the premium for whatever your service is.
Right. What
And
I'm
then
saying
you
is
get
that
it, because let me
hold
explain
on.
what I'm saying.
What I'm saying. Hold on. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that we should pay for it. What I'm saying is that when we do it that way, it decreases access because most people or half the country or more than half the country cannot pay for it. So what you're
No.
saying what you're saying actually makes it worse.
No, see,
It doesn't
you're being-
cost. Hold on.
I wanna move bias
It's already been.
ideolo-
What I'm saying is that it's already been shown that our system decreases access.
Let me explain what you're saying. I don't want to get into bias ideological. The reason that I'm saying
not,
healthcare
bro.
in
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm not getting into any biased ideologies.
No, I'm talking
What
about
saying is when-
myself. I'm talking about myself. I don't
I
want
got
to
you.
go across.
I got you. I'm saying is when we compare our system to other
It's
country
no
systems.
comparison because
Hold on. What I'm saying is that why can't we do it the way that they do? Why can't we? Because it's shown in our system, people get less access and less care.
okay, let me
And
ask
that's a
you a
bad
question.
thing, in my
I
opinion.
want to get on. I want to get on so we can set the pros and cons.
Mhm.
To create an economy, there's other industries. There's nations that have made an economy with their healthcare provision. Period. They have other industries.
Mhm.
In America, free enterprise is not to help, but to increase the economy and the industry. My point is, we do not operate in universal healthcare, nor should we promote it because it's free enterprise. I believe it substantiate that let the doctors, let the medical facilities manage their efficiency, not the government manage it. The government responsibility in a republic democracy is to give access. Barack Obama did that when he gave Marketplace. We got to pick what premium we pay, what healthcare provider, what doctors. And I think that's the best practice. Let me tell you why. There's still an eligibility if you have zero income, they give state level comprehensive health care.
They
And
don't.
you pay right? I don't even know if they pay. I guess they got to pay a copay for
Hold
some
on.
medical facility.
Depends on your state because in my state that doesn't happen. If
Okay,
you don't
well,
have
in the
if you don't
state
have
that I'm
money
in,
if you don't have money if you don't have money or are disabled, you're fucked.
well,
You know
in
what
the
I'm saying?
state I'm
What I'm
in, I
saying is
know
that I know that's in your state. What I'm saying is that that type of system is shitty. How come not just give everybody the same access?
well, the only reason I'm telling you, the con to that is, let me ask you this question. If I went into the gas line when you went in, you got on pump 1 and I got on pump 2, would you be willing to pay my gas?
Yeah.
At that time,
Yeah.
you would?
I've done it before.
Okay, and in paying it forward, I understand that part. But in government, they can't control who pays the price at the gas tank at a time where two humans interact. I should be able to say no to something that is costing me and it's just not in my budget.
All
And
right.
I
Well,
think
what I'm saying is that when it comes to universal health care, all of us are putting into the same risk pool, right? That's what happens through taxes. So if we're all putting in the same risk, we're all putting, including you. So I don't see the issue with all of us having the same type of access to care, the same type of access to medicine and everything like that. Just because I don't want someone else to benefit of what I paid for, even if I benefit too.
I'm saying the
I don't understand.
attitude would be, here's something that I can share with you that we're clearly not going to get on the same page in the disposition of it. Healthcare is such a lucrative business. There is all kind of debt around healthcare.
Yeah, that's bad.
Okay, hold on. And now that Congress is doing what they're doing with the midpoint of the administration who's doing it through executive terms, right? We know it's for profit, the United States perceive any law. So to reverse that, I still got money that's owed to me that I might have charged off, right? But I gotta wait till that is paid to pattern before I can reset my fees. I'm not gonna provide a service and I'm not getting paid for it. That is called extortion. of service.
But you're
That is
still
not
gonna
a
get
good thing.
under universal health care. You still get paid. You think doctors in France don't get paid? I don't
No,
understand.
but my point, I'm pronounced that
Give me
we
a
would
second.
have
Give me a
to
second. Give
become
me a
a
second.
socialist
Give me a
party.
second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hey, Mark, stay on mute because your background is very, very loud. Don't come off mute again until I tell you. If you do come off mute, I'm gonna drop you. All right. But Jai, what I'm saying is that people in the doctors and the healthcare workers and other in systems that have universal healthcare, they still get paid. So I'm not understanding the issue with you thinking that you're not gonna get paid. You're still gonna get paid, bro.
No, the participation in the, let me say this, I have military.
So
And
do
I
I.
would not work on a military installation as a doctor.
Why not? It's pretty
Because,
good. When I was in the
because you
military,
don't
I
get
got pretty
paid.
good care.
Let me explain what I'm saying. You don't get paid what you think you get paid to the service, and you provide the service of servitude. And so my question to you is pick 3 nations that participate in universal health care without giving the note that the United States don't participate in anything but comprehensive health care, and tell me where their pros and cons would be able to be just affixed into the United States free enterprise.
I have no clue what you're asking. Well, to be honest, that was
Where universal health care, you were talking about Taiwan earlier.
Hey,
Show
Rick,
me
can I
what
clear
Taiwan
something
does
up?
that
I
these
think
are
there's a
special
confusion
government
going on right
officials
now.
that get paid as doctors.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Universal health care is government ran health care. It's
No,
not
it's
a
not.
private
Yeah,
practice.
No, it's not.
Can I clear this up real quick?
Okay.
Just to clear it up.
Insurance itself, hold on. Insurance itself, the reason we haven't been able to comprehensively come together as doctors is because insurance itself is a lucrative business. It's bigger than the government.
Yeah, that's bad.
So how do you, so if I tell you the relations of the
Okay, so I guess I can go ahead and explain now, right? I think you were asking what are the pros and cons of a universal healthcare systems. The pros is that everyone has access to healthcare. The pros is that it actually encourages preventative care, meaning people go to the hospital more often because they'll be able to afford it. The cons is that your taxes may go up. I guess if there's a shortage of workers, then you can have backlog and everything like that. But we have that in the private system anyway.
And can I clear something real quick? 'Cause I think he's confused between universal healthcare insurance, which is what Medicare for All is, where basically the government pays the insurance. You basically have a government insurance, whereas overseas you not only have the government insurance, but also they have government ran like facilities, right? So like the VA, for example, is basically closer to the European model, where the government owns owns and operates the VA facilities. You get all your stuff done from there, and of it is through the VA. Whereas where we're talking about Medicare for All, it's still a private system in terms of the actual health care. You just get rid of the private middleman, right? And now is that because that, and also how insurance works, right? Is that you're still paying for other people. That's the huge misconception. Somehow I think people think that when they pay for their insurance that they're paying for themselves. No, you're paying for other people. The people who are not sick are paying for the people who are sick, right? It's effectively a Ponzi scheme. Like people always say, "Oh, Social Security Ponzi scheme." Yeah, it's a Ponzi scheme for it, and the people who do need it, right? They're still paying for it too, but you're helping paying for their health care, right? That's how insurance works. So if you believe insurance is a Ponzi scheme, well, you can say that, but that's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure you understand which one you're talking about. I think he's confusing both of them, and they're mixing them both together, but they're not the same. Medicare for All is not the VA model or the European model. It's still a free market system. It's just when it comes to insurance, it's no longer a private insurance company. It's now a universal government system. And now it's actually cheaper because you no longer have to pay a higher what's called the administrative costs, right? Nobody's skimming off the top so they can buy a Porsche, like
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
like
I was gonna actually bring that up because I actually work in insurance. This is how all insurance works. Your premiums are not going for you. Is not in your little piggy bank for you to make a claim. Your premiums are to pay out all everybody else's claim because everyone else is making a claim, and then we gotta check what the risk pool is and give the people pay out the money for those claims. This is why the United Healthcare CEO was unalive a few months ago because he came up with an algorithm that will just deny claims left and right so they can make more money. Like that system doesn't work, and that's what we're having in America right now. So why not cut out the middleman and have a system where if you're sick and go to the hospital, it just gets covered by the taxes that the people in the society have already paid.
I'm not confused about it. The only nation that really does a government health care provision where they manage it is the United Kingdom. The rest of them, they have what you're saying, the government private point of insurance.
That's what we're saying, and that's what we're saying. What we should do here, because the UK system has its problem, especially when they start to privatize some of it. But what we're saying is that the model that the Scandinavians have, that the Nordics have, that the Taiwanese have, we can do what that France has. We can do that over here. And you're saying that because there's big business in it, it won't work out because we're free market. The fact that there's big business in it is actually the problem.
But remember, here's the scope that I'm speaking from, and I want to be careful now, because I said I don't want to get into no biased ideology. Democracy doesn't mean perfect. But remember, China got about a 97 to 98% healthcare provision that's done through their socialist government because it's shared revenue. They're a socialist. We would almost have to be a socialist to get the majority to accept it. If people looking for free insurance, free education, free housing, then we're changing our D-note. That means if you're eligible for free housing in America today, your income is not substantiated. If you have substantiated, but I'm saying that is to collide, because what I'm saying, I know that I got penalized because people had to have insurance in 2022. What is in Aberjani and some of the Arabic nations, you got to have insurance. You can't be it shows the sign you're not denote against the system, that you have to have health care, because they're not going to provide you to enter into hospitals if you don't have any means to pay it. That's called, what's the word on that? You're stealing. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Now here you go to the medical facility, you're not going to be denied the entry to the emergency, but for the doctor, we don't make ourselves available in the emergency room. They have to make their reverence to come, and we can't set term to
Okay,
what do you call it?
Jai, this is getting into the weeds and word salad. How do we actually, because you're pointing out all these problems, and I'm saying is that if we had a public option or a universal system, that would solve the entire problem and will make things cheaper. And you're saying it's bad because then you go into word salad. Why would these be well, where'd the other guy go? What I'm asking is that if we have universal health care, a system where we have a single payer and a private market for bad thing, because everyone will have access to health care, we would have preventative measures. Healthcare would get cheaper, medicine would get cheaper, because now we have a powerful tool against the pharmaceutical companies that raises the price on surgeries and medicine all the time. We will have a tool against them to not price gouge us. Everything seems like a win. The only trade-off really is our taxes going up. Yeah, our taxes may go up, but if we have a healthier society and it's healthier and it's more productive, and it's cheaper, the trade-off is there. Our insulin cost will go from $1,000 to $5. The trade-off is there. So why is this a bad thing? That's what I'm asking.
Because of the current state of our nation, this is what I want to position. If you remember, you also have on your post about free college, free education. Public education through K-12 is literally free. There's no fees. Health education is a social awareness, and I don't know how we're just going to think that the government can, and that's what everybody's arguing. The government don't have the authority in its current status right now as a democracy to just set a remedy and say, drop this is what we're going to do. That's the executive talk about that. It's okay for him to be in foreign countries, a global business, as the president, and gain whatever he gained in profit, but he's telling doctors how to do their practices. That don't.
Jai, that's not what we're talking about. That's
But
not
that's
what we're
the
doing.
argument of
No, it's
universal
not.
health care in
No,
the
it's
United
not.
States.
No, it's not.
No,
No one is saying that the president should have all the power and all the doctors work for
If
him.
you
No,
give
no
the
one's saying
authority
that.
to the government, it would be Donald Trump at this point.
No, that's not what we're talking about, bro.
But
If
that's
it's a
the
universal,
perception.
if it's a universal system, it will be an agency that runs that system, right? But it will be Congress who actually sends the funds to it. They'll be the ones that actually appoint people
perfect
to
world.
it. Just like in this is how it should work, or be like a public option, or we could just do Medicare for all. Medicare is already an agency that's set up. Just open it up to everybody, and now you have a universal system. Why would that be a problem?
Like I said, we're only set up to be a comprehensive health care.
So let's change it. Why can't we change it?
Let me explain what I'm saying. Because you can't just throw a remedy, government ran or indigenous shared health care, and then tell the insurance people what to do, tell the healthcare provider what to do, tell the
Yeah, we can. That's called regulations. Dump toxic waste in rivers all the time.
I get the regulation of agencies, but right now our current state is not healthy to provide to say that we can do away with comprehensive health care and the ability for practitioners to make profit to become special government officials and align with.
No one is saying to make them special government officials. No one says that, bro. No one is
That's what
saying
you
that.
are when you medical facilitate with the
No,
government
it's
in Great
not.
Britain.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
In Great Britain,
We
they are
already
government
said
officials.
that's Great Britain. We already said we will follow the
Taiwan,
Scandinavian
they-
model.
hold on.
Taiwan doesn't do that. The doctors in Taiwan do not work for the government. That's not how that works.
The government regulates it. The government regulates it.
The government regulates it now. What are we talking about? The government regulates stuff now.
You're giving this utopia like the whole world has to be in the same behavior, and that's what I was saying about dispositional.
Alrighty. So, Trill, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, bro. Did you have anything last thing for tonight?
Man, no. TikTok let me on the TikToks on TikTok Live. I'm gonna start trolling some conservatives. So
You gotta start trolling conservative. Oh, that's funny. All right, y'all guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I've been here for 2.5 hours. I only should be up here for 2 hours, but I appreciate y'all. Go ahead and follow Trill, W Trill in the comments. Over on my YouTube, I appreciate y'all on my YouTube. Tahir, Jay, Ding Dong, I appreciate you guys for being out here. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. We got to 17.3K likes and 40 people in here. Let's get to 20K next time. If you would like to see me do more of these, hopefully I can go ahead and make this my supplemental income. If you would like to see me do more of these and do these every night, I need to go ahead and need to let y'all know to join my cult. I have 8 members already. I see it up there. I have a subscription goal of 10. Get with those gifts. It's only $2.99 per month. You get to see me every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday with my handsome face. Go ahead and subscribe to me on YouTube. I have 2 channels. I have Volsy Thoughts and the Black Atheist Coalition. Go ahead and join